Hello, everybody. We are back. We are live from our studio at Tech Town. I'm Jer Stays. You are in the studio of Daily Detroit. We've got a busy afternoon of podcast production and live streaming for you. Joining me to my left is none other than the Prince of Brightmoor himself, Norris Howard. We will, of course, introduce ourselves multiple times during this. How are you this afternoon?
Yeah, we will. I just realized I didn't have my headphones plugged in like a jerk.
Well, you could plug them in. We're not.
No,
I mean, we're live, but we're not.
I know we're live, but I forgot.
What were you listening to?
I was listening to In My Lifetime, Volume 1 by Jay-Z.
Okay.
So the reason I was listening to that is Cardi B just did like a remix of one of my favorite Jay-Z songs of all time.
Okay.
And it actually was not bad. It was pretty decent, actually.
Nice.
And it's not a well-known Jay-Z song. It's a deep cut for Jay-Z fans, but it's one of his best songs. It's smooth, you know. It's called Imaginary Players.
Okay.
And all it is about people who say they have a lot of money, but they don't. And
You mean like 3/4 of the people who try to develop buildings in downtown Detroit?
Bro, I could play that song so much.
Fernando Palazuelo at the Packard plant?
Yeah.
Did I say that?
I could play that. I could play that for a lot of people.
I'm sure you could.
What am I hearing? I'm getting doubling in my headphones.
Doubling?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not. Are you in all the way?
Hold on. Yeah, I'm good.
How about now?
Yeah.
Better?
It's fine. I just got to deal with it. It's there.
It's there?
Whatever.
All right. Well, we have a busy show.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
Busy day. So we're going to be recording our regular show with Nick, with an AI expert, because there's been a bunch of Detroit-related deepfake foolishness.
Because I'm going to talk about it more during the show, but I am so disappointed in my fellow Detroiters, my fellow Metro Detroiters. I'm so disappointed in y'all.
We're also going to be asking some questions because a lot of people, when I told them we're going to have Nick on, he is professor, by the way, at the Wayne State. Mike Illich, Wayne State School of Business, talking about job applications too in AI, because we've gotten a lot of questions about that. So that's going to be really interesting. We're going to also record a mini episode.
Yep.
Because it's going to be web only and actually on our Patreon feed about the mayoral race and the fact that Duggan endorsed Sheffield. We're not going to spend a whole regular podcast episode on it, but it's something we can definitely talk about in the live stream, get some of our thoughts and like, what are we going to do next? How are we going to focus on stuff? And then, of course, we are going to be keeping up with you and our chat. So in between these things, we'll be answering questions. Obviously, at the end of the show or end of the live stream, we'll be answering questions. I don't know how long this one's going to go. We're waiting for Nick. He's actually around the corner finishing something before he hops on the live stream. So,
yeah,
it's
we're
kind
just
of
going to hang out with the rest of the filthy animals of our fan base.
the wonderful, filthy animals. of our
Yeah, I
fan
mean
base.
that as a term of endearment.
What is it, you filthy animals?
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
That's it.
Yeah.
The other thing I think of is the RoboCop movie. I'd buy that for $1. Can we, while we're waiting?
You're so old. You're so old.
But so not.
You're old.
No, I'm not old.
You're old.
I'm a veteran young guy.
Your frames of reference are so Gen X coded sometimes.
Which is funny because I'm a geriatric millennial, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but the culture.
Listen, Gen X needs representation out there.
You grew up in a Gen X culture, though. I did not.
Okay, so this is part of it. My dad was born in the 1930s.
Yeah.
My grandmother who raised me was born in the 1900s.
Yeah.
She would literally be 125 years old now.
That's what I'm saying.
So I have a lot of older sensibilities, to say the least.
Which makes you old.
No, old is how you feel.
That's not the definition of it.
In my mind, all right?
In your mind.
In my mind, Best Choice Roofing is your best choice for roofing in this town.
There you go.
That's true.
That is true. I'm just saying,
Shout out to Felipe.
That's an old shirt. It's an old coded shirt.
Oh, what I'm wearing? The Tommy.
Yes.
Okay, so there was an Instagram reel where people, when we covered Father Forgive Me, and the comments were crazy. But there was a comment that was like, "Can I go there?" Because worried that it's like all about hipsters. And I said, "Well, I look like a PTO president who raided a Tommy Bahama, and I was fine." And I realized when I put this on today, I was like, "Yes, in fact, that is 100%." I'm more self-aware than I thought I was.
Let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna say this right now. Y'all better stop living life with fear. Oh, I think it's for the hipsters. I don't care. Your money spent just like everybody else's. I don't care if you show up in your full Tigers uniform and shorts all the way up to the thigh, the mid thigh. I don't care. No one cares. No one cares. Go where you want to go. That's what I want to tell anybody coming to the church. Go where you want to go.
I feel that way too, even about some of the stuff that we talk about in the city. You know, I covered the Warda's that bakery.
Yes,
People are like, I
patisserie.
can't go there. I was like, yes,
What
you
you mean
can.
you can't go there? You can go wherever you want.
Yep.
Anyway,
We have our
a
guest.
guest.
He's wandering in now.
Welcome. By the way, that's one of my favorite Tigers hats.
It's a good one.
Let's get the mic up. Are we still winning?
Yeah, we can put that, adjust it as you want.
Tigers are still winning. By the way.
They were up 6-0 when I saw. So
Yeah,
That's quite good.
it's 7-2 in the bottom of the fifth as of recording.
Didn't they get like 4 runs, like
Off
right
walks.
off the walk?
Off walks in the first inning.
last night they won on a walk-off walk.
Yep.
Hadn't seen that in years.
That warms my heart. You know, calling me a Gen Xer and all that stuff. That warms my heart from my days at Tiger Stadium. Because yes, I've been to Tiger Stadium
So have
when it
I.
had ball games in it.
Even
So
I
have
went
I.
to Tiger Stadium too. I was about 8 years old.
I was about to say I was like 5, but I've been there. I remember Cecil Fielder.
Oh man, Cecil Fielder, that
Yeah.
guy.
Your classic Tiger Stadium trivia question: who was the last player to hit a home run at Tiger Stadium?
Bobby Higginson.
No,
Dang.
that's a good guess. I totally forgot about him.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
It was former catcher Robert Fick.
Really?
Who would have thought? Yeah, he's
I
known
would've
more
never
as
guessed that.
Comerica Park era guy, but he was at briefly at Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, he was one of the guys who came on. Higginson was too. He was there the first, I think, 2
Yeah.
years of Comerica.
That overhang was great. I loved that overhang at Comerica.
I loved a lot lot
Here,
know,
yeah, let's move it around for you.
yeah. Let's hook you up.
Uh,
There we go.
You sure you good? Because we can adjust
Yeah, I
a little
just
bit
didn't
more.
want to bend down too much, hunch my shoulders.
Well, you can adjust it.
We
here,
can
too.
adjust it. Help him out.
Yeah, let's help a guy out.
Help him out. All right. Because, we do this, and we forget everybody doesn't do this for a living sometimes.
Oh, okay.
There you
This is
go.
great. Okay.
Much
Excellent.
better.
There you go.
Let's actually point the microphone at your mouth hole.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
do it that way. Don't worry. It's okay.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Nick, welcome. We've known each other for a long time.
Thank you. I think it's about close to 15 years.
Something like that.
It's
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
We've had drinks at the Nancy Whiskey.
That was exactly what I was about to say. That's the first thing I think of for some reason.
I need,
time
well,
ago.
because I used to be a fixture there.
That's what you had said, and I'd seen you a couple of times at other places, and then it seemed like Nancy Whiskey was your element.
Well, it's because I was literally down the street from it.
Oh, that's right. You lived in North Corktown?
Yep. Could
Oh, yeah.
stumble back. But we've known each other through multiple jobs,
Oh, yeah.
multiple employment situations you've been in, all that other stuff. Just so people know, we're about to record the show, but I want to introduce Nick to the live chatters who are out there. Because we do this, we wanted to work in public.
Yeah.
And you work around a lot of social media stuff. And I thought it'd be good sometimes to work in public and just show people behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah, that's my space. I think, especially on this topic, we interacted on Threads, which I don't know if a ton of people use that one yet, but
They need to.
they're starting to.
Usage is up. Okay, so should I believe those metrics from like Similar Web or whatever?
Well, keep in mind, SimilarWeb is looking primarily at website traffic. It does not necessarily account for app traffic. So when they say it's up 127% or whatever, that's true.
That's desktop.
Right. And you look at remember too, on X/Twitter, they're only going off of what Elon Musk says. So we don't actually have the data points on that.
You mean some weird niche post about something nobody cares about doesn't have 15,000 views?
Yeah, it's well, and also, I mean, so my story is 2 months ago I got a new phone, and I had to log back into all my apps. I will go to log into X, Twitter, and it needed to verify me. So it said, we're going to text you a code. Did not get said code. I waited a couple of minutes, tried again. Code did not come through. So I went to contact support, and as you may guess, support is down. There is no support. I got an error message.
It's been doged.
Yeah, well, I think it was Doge before Doge.
Pre-Doge.
Yeah, Elon Musk, takes over Twitter in 2022 or whenever that is. Immediately gets rid of half the staff, including support. So I have been without Twitter, and after about a week, I realized I don't have any way to get my news because that had become my way of getting news for years. And then I thought, okay, why don't I try Threads? I tried Blue Sky. It wasn't really doing it for me. There's just not enough usage yet. So I went over to Threads, and it turned out all of the stuff that I needed was actually there, with the added benefit of, hey, every time I log in, I don't have to sift through all the 9/11 truthers and the Holocaust deniers. So I got some real information.
And
I mean, that's why we're there.
and where does that listen? If you want the hottest news, just follow black folks.
Right, that was the
Follow
key.
where all the black folks. If you see all the black folks running away out of a crowded area, do you stay and find out what's going on?
No, the
No.
answer is
Yeah,
no.
no way.
Absolutely not.
When I started seeing Detroit people on there, what I mean by Detroit people, like people who I knew,
Natives.
like people
Yeah.
who I've seen bike down Jefferson.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
like, oh, okay,
Yep.
this is. I mean, obviously, you need to be in order to cover Detroit. You need to be on the streets. You need to be at meetings. Like social media is a fun house mirror for local stuff.
Yeah, and it only goes so far.
It only goes so far, but it is fun to have those things out there and get that news out. And it's funny how many media people behind the scenes have been like, I thought you were real brave in the stupid way for going to Threads. And now we have more than doubled our following on X. And we kind
Really?
of just own a space there where if we fill the channel, people will interact with it. Now, does it drive traffic? No, but
Right. Well, and I
it
think
drives brand.
it's becoming more of the social media thing too. Is if you're trying to drive traffic, social media might not be what you're looking for, unless you're on LinkedIn, maybe. Instagram, biggest active social network right now, outside of, I mean, Facebook, I don't really count anymore, but Instagram, no links and posts unless you're running ads.
Yep.
Or, well, stories. I've actually seen some results with the links and stories.
Right.
That's worked out okay for us. Definitely more, we'll get more clicks on a link in a story than we will on Blue Sky or on Threads.
Yeah, and it has to be super timely and relevant. I would say if you're going to post a link like to this right afterwards, yeah, it'll do really well.
Yeah.
But also historically, the microblogging platforms, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, those have always had the lowest click-through rates in terms of people clicking to links because people scroll a lot faster than anywhere else. So that's kind of the continuation on Threads. However, I'm also seeing a lot of the content on Threads is beginning to mirror what I'd seen when Twitter was good. I'm seeing more of the memes to laugh at. I'm seeing more of the news. I'm seeing the sports news that I want. And also I'm noticing the political news I'm seeing appears to be a little bit more real, a little more realistic. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily under a shroud of, slant one way or another.
That's fair. That's fair. I do get a little bit more of a left tinge on Threads
I do as well.
versus X, but it's a slight shift. I also want to ask you this before we get into the whole main show thing. For my own edification, I've noticed that people pick a lane and they kind of like go with it. So like we redesigned our website to be more like a feed, and people seem to really like that. And they're like, oh yeah, I just bookmark your site and I refresh if there's a new episode or if you have a new newsletter or something. They like that feed thing. Or if they find us, very rarely do people see us on Threads and go find our podcast. It's like they're in the place that they're in. You got to meet them where they're at. And if you do a good enough brand play, then they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll just go find you on Spotify, as opposed to like linking over.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. People are getting a lot more savvy, I guess you could say, with the internet in general. And they know, searching, people have been using Google for so long, they know how to search on other platforms. And also, they think it's easier just to, they see you on Threads, they see Daily Detroit, then they will just go to Spotify and search it rather than sift through your profile or oh, I saw he had a link. in a thread a couple days ago. Let me go back and scroll down until I see it. You know, they just think it's going to be quicker to find it on their own. And then they can get other intel and see, you know, rather than get a link directly to an article or directly to a specific episode, they can just see it from the main stage.
You're no Adam Mosseri at
No.
Facebook. But what is the number one myth or misconception with social media stuff before we get into the main show?
The number one misconception.
Misconception or myth.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting question, because so much of social media is misconceptions and myths, as in like the content that you see. I mean, I would say I don't think there's as many people there, and there's not as much business to be had there as you might think. I think a lot of companies are saying, all right, I'm going to hire a social media person as an extension of a sales team. That's not going to happen. That is just not how it works anymore. People are not there to be peddled products and services. And it feels like there are too many companies that try that. But on a personal level, I would say, really, I just think there aren't as many people online at once as you might think. You see the stats that say millions are online at any one moment. And I mean, if you look at like an hour, maybe, but at that very, very same moment, probably not. People are looking at it for 30 seconds to 5 minutes in small intervals when they have a chance throughout their day. That often is different for all the sorts of people. For me, it might be, hey, 2:15 to 2:20 p.m. I was on Threads. But for you, it might be 2:19 to 2:28 or something. And as a result, you know, that seems like a very small difference. But in reality, that can really impact the algorithm if and when you ever see my posts, if and when I ever see your posts, and just how it's kind of like people are ships passing in the night.
I see this all the time where people, and I know this is ironic that this is a live stream and we're talking about it here, but I'm very realistic about the reach that we have with different things. Our podcast has always been bigger than a live stream and always will be.
Right.
Because it's on demand, and it's a thing where people are mowing the lawn or walking the dog or doing something else. They don't have to be here. That's why I really value like the live interaction that we do have here, because, you know, it's definitely like a decision to hang out with us.
Well, and your live stream might be available on demand later, but people don't like going back to watch live streams. It's like going back and watching a game on repeat that you DVR'd or something. It just does not have the same appeal. You can skip the commercials, sure. And like, I have tried that, and I would do like a social media blackout for myself. Like, put my phone on Do Not Disturb, wait until I get home, then I watch the game. Maybe I can catch up if I miss 5 minutes, but in the real time, it's just does not hit the same.
The thing you were saying about being a sales channel, what I will say is that it's definitely a customer service channel and a fan service. So like, we don't really post the show to get new listeners. We post the show to remind listeners already there, hey, there's a new thing if they happen to miss it, or people will give us feedback. Or what I love, we've got listeners who will tag us in a link from somebody else so that we can talk about that story later. It's that kind of chat discussion thing as opposed to saying, hey, click on my junk.
Well, and that's what Stories has done a really good job of, is if you look at a platform without Stories like LinkedIn, on average, you have like 5 to 10% of your followers are going to see any given post. But you go to LinkedIn, you post a story of something that you're just publishing. Now you're going to be able to reach 2 times, 3 times, maybe 4 times that, thanks to your story, which a lot of your following is going to consume over the following 24 hours.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing more of our new stuff like on stories on Instagram, and not really trying to fill up the grid, but because it is like ephemeral is the word, right? Ephemeral,
Yeah,
is that a good word?
that was the
You're
word
a
they
professor.
started.
I'm not a professor.
I wouldn't call myself a professor. I don't have the PhD that you're supposed to have. However,
What do we call you?
They call me a faculty member. I mean, if students call me a professor, I'm not going to correct them. I will stick with it.
Isn't there a Simpsons character, Professor Nick?
I don't remember.
Dr.
The Simpsons are largely out of my mind. I have not at
It's
the time.
Dr. Nick.
Dr. Nick. Oh, he's not there yet.
Yeah, no, we'll never. Doctor, I usually will correct people. That I am not. Have not put in the work for that.
I mean, listen, if Scott Galloway can be Prof G.
That's true. Yeah, but back to your question on the ephemeral. That seemed to be a term that picked up when Snapchat first became popular many years ago. Mm-hmm. And now Snapchat was the first. I think people forget too. Snapchat was the first platform to use stories, and then Instagram showed up with stories, and then Instagram also followed the the TikTok 916 video scroll thing. So really, Instagram did not pioneer any of this, and yet somehow we're sitting here in 2025, and it's the number one social network, which really is kind of amazing when you think about it today.
Over TikTok?
In terms of active usage
Really?
across all generations.
Really? Okay, because I know
it's close, and now TikTok gets more downloads. Yes, because we all already have Instagram. It's kind of like how Threads had 100 million users in 48 hours because, well, if you had Instagram, you by default had a Threads account. You could quickly start it, boom, done in 30 seconds.
Okay. Before we record the main show, I want to give some shout outs. Hello, Emily. Thank you so much for watching us. Mike, good to see you. Good to see you. Jason, good to see you. Good to see you. Glad to see everybody in the chat. What we're going to do is we will record our main episode. This is going to air tomorrow. We're going to talk about the things we talked about on the tin, on the label. Then we're going to send Nick on his way. Then we're going to go talk, unless you want to get, I don't think you want to get into Detroit politics, I'm assuming.
Probably not the Detroit politics.
No, probably not. So we're going to send you on your way, do a little micro episode, web exclusive and for our Patreon, about Mike Duggan endorsing Mary Sheffield. And then also, of course, all your questions, stories you've got, keep it in the chat. I know that producer Adam is back there keeping an eye on everything for stuff. So I promise we'll do our best not to miss anything. So we'll get into the main show. And thank you so much, everyone, for being around. I love this. We've got a little spike in people. So I'm all for it. You ready, Mr. Prince Brightmore?
I'm always ready.
All right. And we are recording. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit, sharing what to know and where to go in Southeast Michigan. I am Jer Stays, and it is Thursday, August 21st, 2025. Joining me at the table, we've got a full table today. To my left is none other than our Prince of Brightmore, Norris Howard. How is the West Side?
The West Side is always popping. Downtown is always popping. And we are keeping it fresh and positive and happy that for at least a couple days, it cooled off just enough.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good for the dog walk. So good for everything. Beautiful week here in Detroit. Now, our guest is going to get into something that just caught my eye all over my internet feeds.
So disappointing that this is happening right now.
But you know what? This is a great...
Not the guest, by the way.
I was going to say, yeah.
Not the guest, but the story itself. Yeah.
Well, there have been a ton of locally focused AI deepfake things, whether it was Eminem and a student rapping supposedly, which did not happen, or a agency being fired for a Pepsi commercial, or a whole bunch of other stuff. I figured this was a great opportunity to get smarter. And who's going to help us get smarter but none other than Nick Matar. He's a longtime friend of the show. He is part-time faculty at the Mike Ilitch School of Business at Wayne State University and the founder and CEO of Marketing 1080. Welcome to Daily Detroit.
Thank you for having me. And I take the other side of the weather. I enjoy fall temperatures, but I am down to sweat. I am down to be a little overheated and into the high 80s. But you know what? I'll take the couple of days in the 60s. It's fine.
I'm
It's
with
cool.
you. I just like a little break. But typically, I'm with you. Summer is my favorite season. I love heat and hotness and being outside all day. It's fantastic.
We're still one of the few states that hasn't hit 100 degrees this year.
I
That's
know.
crazy. Usually we have that by now.
I know. I was shocked. It was just a couple of Midwest states.
We got a break from the wildfire smoke. The wildfire smoke, like,
Thank good. You know what? I hooked up one of those.
it's pick your poison though.
It kills your breathing and the air, but you know what? It keeps it from hitting 100.
I got a recommendation from engineer Randy, and I want to have the guy on the show the next time that the next wave of wildfire comes through. I actually did the high-end filter, the FRP10 whatever filter on the back of the box fan. It works so well, and it's so much less expensive than some crazy air filter. I'm sure it's not like perfect, but little bit of gaffer's tape or duct tape around it, put the filter on the back. It's great.
How can you tell? Did you measure the air quality index inside the house?
I have a very sensitive partner.
So
I-
you can just tell by physically?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, we just thug it out. You know, you know what I'm saying? I've already had asthma. I can't get it twice.
Like chicken pox?
Yeah, you can't get asthma twice.
I mean, doesn't it not leave you, right?
No.
Isn't asthma like a lifelong thing?
Yes.
Yes.
I've
Okay.
had it since I was a child.
Oh, okay.
And
So
I
you're
still
just
play-
suffering.
But it's not like mono. Like I had mono in college, and it's like, oh, I think I'm
Yeah.
okay now. But it's not like it keeps coming back. Like you could have an asthma attack
Right
anytime,
now.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all good. I play soccer 2-3 times a week. It's fine.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So let's get into this. These stories, Nick, are wild. How many people shared them who, honestly, and I'm not going to call out anyone specifically because that's not my goal here. My goal is to teach folks. So many people that I have heard be like, I am all about actual information. I'm all about journalism. I'm all about all this other stuff. And then this raft of AI, it feels like we've hit the era where it's getting harder and harder to tell things apart.
Well, there's too many people who have shared it. And I think it's really just an appetite for news, for information. People see so much misinformation, or what they know is misinformation and what they think is just negative. And then they see a heartwarming story like Eminem. Eminem brings a girl on stage, and then there's this great alleged photo of the two of them embracing. And you think, oh, that's great. And if I'm 65 years old, I don't think anything of it. Like that is great. That young man and that young lady, that's a quick share or a quick like or a little comment. And when in reality, it's all fake.
And I've seen people with this one, not just like the 60 plus crowd, but people our age getting into it. And it makes me think of the fact, the difficulty with social media and news and information is that what shares is about what emotionally resonates.
Well, and yeah, not just there's a lot to unpack there. I would say, especially in the world of AI. AI as a topic really feeds to everyone's primal social media desire, which is I want engagements, I want clout, I want followers. Nobody likes screaming into the void of social media. If people say, "Oh, I don't care if I have a following. I don't care if I have anybody who engages with my posts." Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
You don't want 0 followers. You don't want 0 engagements or impressions, because then nobody saw it.
Listen, I can speak to that immediately because as somebody who's done social media management for other brands, there's a difference between when I post and I get 30 likes and I'm like, oh my God, people like me. And then I go to this brand and I make a funny and I see it has 300,000 likes, and what that does to your endorphins, what that does to like your pleasure receptors.
Right.
Like, I am not shocked that this kind of AI is, or this type of content coming from AI is what people are resonating with, in addition to the political stuff. But I'm not shocked that like good news AI is like stuff that people just don't even take a second pass at.
Well, and I would say too, like I messaged Jerry yesterday about this, that there are really 2 types of AI content that people love. That idea of AI in itself, based on everything that's ever happened with ChatGPT and Claude and all these other things, that is always going to be an engagement magnet. But now, so too is the idea of the stuff that these AI platforms put out and that people share. So now we have 2 things to engage with. There's AI content and fake news that is put out by AI platforms, or somebody that uses an AI platform to generate a story about Eminem, and then they went and generated an image about him as well, which is really kind of shocking. I did not expect that to happen a year ago. I knew the news about AI would always be out there. It feels like anytime Sam Altman opens his mouth, it's news, even though everything he says is like what a normal person would say. It's like, oh, but he said it.
Or like a normal CEO.
Yeah, well, yeah, a normal CEO, so not a normal person.
None of those.
Not a normal person, but a normal
No.
CEO, sure.
Yeah. But it's really interesting because for me, if I look at all the content I've posted from my own account, from every brand account that I've ever managed, anything that mentions AI probably has 2 or 3 times the engagements. And it's just, that's what people kind of drift towards. And also, I do think there's an element of the algorithms that are also pushing out that type of content.
Which are also backed by AI as well.
Right.
So I think my question more so when it comes to AI content is less about prevalence, less about the tools themselves, because at this point, the genie's out of the bottle, right? My thing is more so is how do we change digital literacy in a sense that we can help people decipher AI, right? Because currently, right now, digital literacy was already bad before in the social media era. But like, how do we get to a point to where people can begin to be more scrutinizing of the content that they view? Because at this point, you talked about those of a certain age group. You know, obviously, older people is just going to be harder. Technology is going to move faster than sort of their brains can move. No diss to older people, but y'all get what I'm trying to say. But I'm talking about even younger people. I'm talking about people my age and younger that sort of seem to have this inability to scrutinize anything critically.
Yeah. So I have spent some time thinking about this, and I mean, there's no single answer. There's no single best practice. And you see a lot about, you might see this on LinkedIn in particular. There's a lot of people that post about, oh, there's certain parts of speech that AI platforms are going to put out there more. Like if you see an M dash, it's probably created by ChatGPT. But if we think about just from a general digital literacy perspective, it really comes down to the mindset and just making sure that people don't just believe everything they see at face value. That seems to kind of be a thing that's been around for a while now. I feel like I've heard that phrase for years, where it was originally on TV and, don't believe like everything that you see on TV. But in reality, honestly, the TV stuff is probably more trustworthy now than what you see online, because literally anybody can put anything on a platform and go viral, and it could be completely made up. There's no accountability. There's no repercussions by default. And so we are really at a time where you kind of have to be more skeptical just all the time.
When I was mentored in journalistic organizations, one of the things that I learned to do was to cross-read, to read laterally. And I don't know if this is the right thing to do or not, but to read laterally and say, okay, if this thing seems too good to be true, one, it probably is. Does it hit my emotional receptors? Does it make me feel really strongly? Also, that's a red flag, right? If I 100% agree with something, that is in my head, I'm like, I need to check that. And when I talk about lateral reading, what I mean is, okay, this is here. Let's look at a site that I know is left or right, or try to figure out a few different sources to say, did this thing actually happen? Is there a source video? Is there a reported story? Because a lot of these places, if something like that, like obviously this Eminem story isn't dangerous, right? It's flowers and singing and whatever.
I see that it is though.
But that's what I was going to get to. Yeah. That's what I was going to get to, is that it could be used. That same technique could be used for something much more sinister.
Yeah, because to me, I will take it to an extreme that I couldn't even. I'm taking it real extreme, so bear with me. Right? Let's take somebody who is dressed like in full mustache model regalia, right? And you know what I mean when I say mustache model, right? So full on, right? And he's just fully embracing like a guy dressed like Malcolm X. And somebody who has no context for either one of those people could sit back and just go, oh, wow, wonderful. Look at there. Everybody's getting along. And that is a dangerous narrative because it allows extreme ideology to become palatable. And that's my problem with this kind of stuff, is where it starts with sunshine, roses, flowers. Oh my God, look at this cool stuff that Eminem did. Which, by the way, if you know anything about Eminem and see that photo, you should know that man has only looked like that at his daughter's wedding and never again.
Right.
So like, even just having context of the type of people who are in the photo helps. But I think it just represents a more dangerous frontier that we're entering into, where people will pull on those emotional heartstrings and be able to begin to program public sentiment.
Well, and to go back to Jer's original question here on the digital or I guess it was your question on the digital literacy. The thing that I always go back to as well is not only does it the lateral reading, right? Being able to look at both sides and ask, all right, do I agree with this too much? Is it too good to be true? I would also go back to the idea of why is there only one photo, and kind of like the classic journalistic idea of I need two sources for this, making sure that there was something else. Like we knew about the astronomer CEO affair immediately. Like that absolutely happened. There was really, it was really just one video, but then there were all sorts of people coming out with all sorts of different stories and their own, like it was the hilarity in it to me was just how many different angles there were.
And the contextual content, which is a phrase I've seen before, is like how much contextual content around the story is there, right? So if we see a story, it doesn't necessarily have to be, Jared, you said, fully lateral reading in terms of how many people are talking about this exact thing, but all the supporting information around it that help flesh it out into a real event, a real thing, like the CEO affair thing.
So when I'm online, a lot of people are saying, AI is terrible, it's going to kill creativity, all that other stuff. AI is here to stay, right?
Right.
Or is it? Or tell me, you're an expert.
No, I don't know if I'd call myself an expert. I would say I'm an expert in how it gets used by the common man.
Right.
I mean, it's not going anywhere. I think it's moving a little slower than people thought. I think a couple of years ago, the big prevailing story in 2023 was ChatGPT is going to remove all thinking. Nobody's ever going to have to do anything. It's going to take everyone's jobs in a couple of years. And to this day, like there have been some nice advances. Video, especially on the paid Google Gemini version, it's like $200 a month.
Crazy.
That's really, really good. I've seen some people do some incredible things. But in terms of the content that just the everyday person can access and use and that they understand how to use, it still has a long way to go. I think it's moving slower than we might think. And also we're finding there's a lot of hallucinating, a lot of just incorrectness that AI is doing, where I know you said creativity, Jer, and that's where, being factual might not matter as much. However, there is absolutely all of these red flags and these problems that have been around since the beginning of AI, of course, that continue to persist that I think will continue to slow us down.
I also think people need to think about how they use AI because it isn't going anywhere. And like the guards and barriers you put around it, right? So you can tell it things like hallucinate less or don't hallucinate. You can say, focus on only this piece of content, which can be really helpful when you're trying to deal with large documents. Or for me, one way I'll do it, I get a ton of press releases every day. They're almost all not interesting, but I do like to get an idea of what it is so that the 2 out of 10, the 1 out of 5 that I do want to talk about, I know to find those without killing 3 hours of my day in sludge.
Well, and I can talk to that hallucination thing. I have a little story. I've even pulled up what happened here. So how I use ChatGPT pretty much is I use it for idea generation. An example is for my classes, I'll write case studies and I need a topic. I have a topic. I need an example. I need a company. And when it comes to something like I need a B2B company that people know that used advertising to grow. And if you Google it, you're going to get a bazillion different things. Yeah. It's going to be very hard to do. So I'll ask ChatGPT, hey, I just need a couple of companies that actually succeeded with this. And then all I need are some KPIs and I'll go in and I'll actually handle it. So, it gave me some. And I'm just going to do this quick back and forth. It said, all right, here's Slack, online advertising. And this is the first thing and I had prompt engineering, I know how to do this. Told it, hey, this has to be real. I put in all sorts of what I thought were guardrails. And it said when Slack launched in 2013, they invested heavily in targeted online advertising. And then it talks about search ads, paid social, video ads, retargeting, gave me all sorts of numbers. They had a 4.5 million in ad revenue from campaigns. And I thought this seems too good to be true. Mm-hmm. So, and it gave me links. It gave me references. So I went and clicked on these links. None of them were coming up. I was getting 404 errors. So I responded to chat and I was like, hey, I just need these references, but they're not popping up. If you can provide me the correct links. And it said, oh, sorry again. Here, I put it in APA style for you with footnotes, and there's links in there. So I went and clicked on the links again, and they still weren't popping up. And I said, hey, maybe these pages like just don't exist anymore. Like, how am I supposed to get this? I need live links. So ChatGPT comes back and like, oh, no worries. If you go into the Wayback Machine, you'll be able to find it. So I did it. I went to the Wayback Machine back to those years. It gave me a year, it gave me a month, and I was like, okay, this isn't working. Like, I don't think these are real. And then chat says, oh, you're right, Nick. I need to give you some real actual examples.
It made up information, basically.
Well, then it only dug itself deeper. Yeah. It then gives me a couple more links. And one is it talks about this blogger who was really big on SaaS companies in the 2010s. So I looked this guy up. He's real, and he has talked about Slack. The problem is his story said the opposite, that said Slack was infamous for organic growth, no advertising. So I finally went back, and I said, okay, I keep getting redirected. I'm not finding it. And I was like, are you sure this actually happened? And it's like, yep, it happened. Here's a couple of more, and it keeps digging and digging itself. Finally, I said, no, this didn't happen. I found evidence to the contrary. And finally, it came back hat in hand, metaphorical hat in hand, and said, you're right, Nick, this didn't happen. Sorry, I was a little off track today. And then it came back and with a completely different case study instead.
Like, Brody, the AI should not be like having a migraine and then going, sorry, dude, I gave you the wrong link.
I mean, we've all had bad interns, but one thing that I find useful is I actually use Notion a lot for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I keep it within the framework of my data. That I have found to be very helpful, where it's like, okay, our daily Detroit, like I keep old podcasts, I keep stuff like that to search only our stuff in Notion. And that I find to be very useful.
I think for where we are right now as a digital assistant, I think ChatGPT and all the rest of that kind of stuff is really good, right? Like, help me organize my own thoughts, which is basically what you're talking about, Jerry. Help me organize my own thoughts. I just worry that people who have no talent, no creativity, and no willingness to obtain talent and creativity will then use it in a way that allows them to take advantage of a economy, the digital economy, that has been basically built off very talented, very committed, very creative people. And that's not just talking about the arts. I mean, to even conceptualize something like Facebook requires you to be kind of crazy. So for me, that lies the inherent issue, and it's not so much about the tool; it's about the way the tool is used.
Right. Well, and I was going to say too, the other thing that I think everybody needs to understand is these platforms are built. Their number one goal is to provide you with an answer. It's not to provide you with a correct answer. It just needs to give you an answer, and if it makes some stuff up most of the time, it's not going to think anything of it.
I can't help but think of an analog to social media where the goal is to provide engagement and keep you on the site or the app.
Regardless of what that engagement is, positive, negative, healthy, whatever.
Okay, I'm going to turn the conversation a little bit, because when I mentioned that you were going to be on, we're going to be talking about AI. So many people got to me and said, I feel like every job application I'm ever sending in is going through these AI filters. And I know it's not quite digital marketing, but it's also a form of processing content, and a lot of frustration where it's like, how on earth, like, is this just the way things are going to be? Like, all of that, like AI and job, it's a very hot topic for a lot of people.
Well, I would say on that part too, it really depends on the job you're applying to and how many applicants there are. In the event where there's 500 applicants, you bet that it's going to go through some sort of filter. It might not, I wouldn't even call it necessarily AI, because it's really just a keyword searching device. It's going to look for certain numbers, certain keywords to show that you have a certain amount of experience. But when there's only 20, 30 applicants for a position, I would say it's more likely than not that people are looking at all of them. And if you're not getting a call, I think that actually speaks to the larger talent and job search issue that we are all seeing just as much, not necessarily even AI related, is that the way that companies have shifted their hiring practices now are ones where they just keep posts open all the time. And once the right person comes along, then they'll hire them. But for all the rest of us who aren't that person, we are applying into the void.
And that's where that frustration comes because you see the data where you have people saying, well, jobs haven't really affected AI, but then you get the anecdotes, like even the New York Times story with people, then that's a real experience, making thousands of applications and being frustrated. Both of those things are true. And it's hard to kind of square all that stuff up. You were talking about, jobs and AI. I used to work for a staffing firm. Applicant tracking systems have been around forever.
Right.
And kicking people out based on keywords is a super common way. And when you're thinking about your resume, I'm no absolute expert on this, but you need to be really keyed into like whatever that group is looking for and understand and talk to people in your industry. What are these people looking for? Because a lot of times they're going to be really particular, especially with those forever open job postings.
Well, and the other thing that I always think about with these forever open job postings is there are other benefits that companies have. The example I like to use, because I keep going back to LinkedIn in these examples, because that seems to be the social network I use the most now. The idea of the company posts that is a LinkedIn job. When someone applies, that person is by default set to follow your company page. And so as a marketing person, when I see any of the companies that I work with, they post an open job, suddenly all of my numbers jump. And I have chosen, I disclose that to them because then they immediately come back down when the jobs close. But the example I have is one of my clients that's right here in Tech Town. They had 2 open jobs. They have less than 20 people on the staff. And suddenly I was seeing, hundreds of new followers per week. And I'm thinking like, what is going on? How am I just skyrocketing? I'm the man, I'm the best. And then I realized job posts went down. They hired people and suddenly it went back to normal. And I did some digging and that's what it is. If you've ever applied for a job on LinkedIn, you're going to see, you have to uncheck the box if you don't want to follow the page. And then how does the algorithm work? Once you follow a page, you start seeing their content. You're going to be more likely to engage because you just applied. So it becomes this vicious circle of just a lot of like really good social media performance. But if the right people find out, they can game that system. And then you get the eternal job post.
All right. Well, I will leave it with this. When we're thinking online, when we're using stuff, what do we need to be thinking about? Because it feels like nowadays when I'm online, especially on Facebook or Instagram, I'm on guard. Like it's much less of a fun experience right now, especially if I end up crossing serious content, because so often now you have news blending into the social space. I really try to keep my Instagram to dogs and birds, and mass transit, because I'm that kind of nerd. But like I run across these things and it's like you'll see this bombed out place, or you'll see this beautiful place. And like, I'm always having to be on guard now, and it feels exhausting.
Well, I think it comes back to trusting the people within your circles. I personally, even if you go back to the astronomer thing, I saw that popping up on all sorts of accounts that I had never seen that were appearing on my feed. And I thought, okay, this is here because it went viral. Then I saw somebody that I actually followed that I trusted, who was a bigger name. And I thought, okay, maybe this is real. Enter all the other posts that people had that were there and saw it. And suddenly you had a viral moment that I now was, okay, this actually did happen. And so trust your community, your personal, the thought leaders in your circles. And I think at that point, that'll help with digital literacy. But in terms of the content too, I mean, social media is the Wild West. It has been for 20 years. And it seems like with AI, we're just entering the next phase of the Wild West. And for me, my personal opinion is just that you just have to go into social media. Don't try to learn a ton of new stuff unless it's a very specific thing that you're seeking out. Yeah, like even on election day, I'm not sure if I believe like any of the stuff that comes through, right? You just need to have your trusted sources, your trusted outlets. And as long as they have a history of being right, I think you're okay to follow up with them. But just, yeah, have an eye of speculation for everything.
Well, Nick Matar, where can people find you? What can they, learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, well, so my main thing is really on LinkedIn. But I do have a book on generative AI for marketers. It's on just Amazon. But really, LinkedIn is my number one place. I talk about business stuff there. And then obviously, I keep my Instagram private, so I don't want my students finding me. But you can also find Marketing 1080 on Instagram. I'm sharing all the AI and social media stuff that we've talked about today over on there now, too.
Well, and if one does follow you on your personal stuff, you got good basketball thoughts.
Yes, I try. There's a lot of sports. There's a lot of sports, a lot of fun memes, and I try to do a meme dump, if you will, every now and then about the hot topics. And the astronomer one was the last one.
Pistons, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Oh, a thumbs up.
All right.
That's the first summer I've been able to say that in a long time.
I appreciate that. All right. Well, that'll be it for today's episode of Your Daily Detroit. Remember to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Daily Detroit. Local media needs local support to survive. With that, I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Norris Howard.
Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit. Talk tomorrow. And
cool.
up, we got questions in the chat.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay,
or not
great.
necessarily questions, but just comments around.
Comments, yes. I would love to see them.
That people want to see. I'm just making sure we're back. Are we back?
It's all
Yep, we're
about
back.
it's
We're
all
back.
about the engagement. So
One question or one comment that I think is very interesting, and tell me how you feel about this, is all AI from Mr. Duckett, by the way, one of our favorites, Mr. Duckett. All AI should be required to have a watermark of some kind, hashtag legislation. We've seen this in other regions with ads, and that's just come over to the U.S. fairly recently.
Which very few people seem
Which
to.
very few people seem to care about. However, if you are a content creator, you are required to put ad on things. How do you feel about that? Because I've heard that more than once, that people think that AI should have some sort of marker on it.
I mean, I think it's a great idea in theory, but everybody finds a way around it when it comes to. There are AI tools that exist to remove watermarks.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that could be policed.
Well, how many people are you going to? So not only do you need to make it illegal, but then you need to have the people to enforce it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's going to enforce it? How many people are going to enforce it? And are you going to have enough people to enforce it in a way that matters? Or, because here's the thing, making laws that people don't follow is pointless.
And you know what?
And
Not
actually
just-
hurts things.
And not just that, it's just the sheer amount of content in and of itself, right? Zuckerberg and the Meta team pretty much admitted this already, like in the wake of the whole Cambridge Analytica thing, where they basically said, like, we have to use AI to moderate content. We don't have a choice. It's so much stuff that there is no way possible for human beings to moderate our content. We need to use AI tools. And so, yeah.
The one thing I will say, the one thing I think Elon Musk has done that was a decent idea at Twitter, the community notes.
Yes, I agree.
They're both good, and they can be very funny.
Community notes are hilarious.
There are some epic community notes out there. That's the one thing I miss. In general, I do trust threads a little bit more. Like, I know someone, if there's something clearly wrong that's posted, someone will come in quickly in the comments, like on the Pepsi thing. It was people were pretty fast on that. But yeah, that's the one thing I think that could help is like Facebook, no longer moderates content, right?
Yeah.
Zuckerberg came out looking like I don't even know how to describe it, when he did that video saying we're not going to moderate content anymore. We believe in free speech. But from there was no way for the community to police it.
Right.
I do think it would be great if there was some sort of function, because to me that works better than a watermark. Because then you could see people putting watermarks on real content, and I look at it as being a box that could be open, and it could get weird.
I like the idea again of community moderation on our platforms, like specifically the community notes. I think the community notes are dope on X, but one of the only things I like about X,
Same.
because now it's to a point where every post on X has to have a community note, and now I think it just sometimes dilutes the information on the platform. But something like Facebook, I think absolutely should have it, especially considering the demographics of people who would be everyday Facebook users.
Couple things from Mike. First off, Norris is trying to get super asthma.
It doesn't exist. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, if I'm the first man on the planet with super asthma, study me.
Does that turn you into a superhuman?
Hey, man, I get super strong, but I only get 30 seconds. I'd be like Meteor Man. Like,
And then very out of breath afterward.
yeah.
So Mike also says, and at the rate at which this sort of content can be generated, it's harrowing times. Nick, do you think it's harrowing times?
I don't know if I'd go that far yet, but I don't think we're far from it.
Yeah.
That's a tough question. I mean, there is so much content consumed, but I also think that's where the algorithms can be helpful. I think they have all been, they are all advanced enough now where in order for this fake content to really gain legs, it's got to evoke a lot of emotion in a lot of people. And yes, some of them do get through, but most of the AI content is what they call AI slop.
Slop, yeah.
Yeah, I read a case study. This is a real one of a guy who created an AI platform, and it just created 101 level blog posts for about every marketing topic, and it published them on a WordPress website, like created with SEO keywords and everything. And he saw his traffic skyrocketed. He got up to from a website from zero, got up to 12,000 visitors per, I don't remember what it was. It might have been a week. And it was great. And then within a week, Google caught on and he got blacklisted. So eventually Google figured out that this was all AI generated. But he got, in the meantime, short term, he was able to get a lot of visitors, even though the content was no good. But the algorithm came through, and I can't believe I'm saying it. The algorithm saved the day.
Yeah.
Jason says AI is so shiny.
It is. That's the
appeal.
You got a lot of comments and questions today. Do you know why that is? We talked about AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you're here, Nick.
You should have started the title with AI. I think you started it with the word deepfake, which is also good, by the way. Like, I do like a good deepfake word, but I think if you had led with AI, you might have gotten more people.
I mean, that's the part that scares me. Like, the AI slop, shitty content stuff is not what worries me. I think ultimately good content, talented people tend to shine through. My worry is the abuse of AI, particularly when it comes to vulnerable people and vulnerable communities. And so, I had a friend of mine who gave me the example of, particularly with video generation, of if you are a female public figure, it's already happening, but if you are a female public figure, get ready for copious amounts of adult videos of your face about to be made on a daily basis, and you will be able to do nothing to stop it.
When you talk about those communities, too, I thought it was interesting. A few months back, we had Johnny from Black Tech Saturdays on the show. And you and Johnny kind of went back and forth a little bit. I kind of sat back because you two have different views on AI.
We do. I mean, Johnny is very pro AI. I'm not necessarily anti-AI. I'm anti-stupid people using AI, which is what ends up happening ultimately. But Johnny's very bullish on it, and I think that's cool. My thing with it is when I see videos, particularly of, black people and black English vernacular being used, because that is the popular lexicon of pop culture. Like, that is just how young people speak, is it borrows a lot from black English, is that the AI now knows how to do that and recycle that much more effectively than with other communities. And so it becomes easier to then mimic and take advantage of the sentiments and the sensibilities of African American people. And so that is where I begin to see sort of the friction points of a lot of this stuff, because unfortunately, a lot of African Americans don't even have the basic or don't have the ability or never had the opportunity to begin to get some of the basic digital literacy that other communities have had. And so they're more susceptible to bad actors when it comes to AI.
Says we're building a hive mind and I love it. Well, that's part of being a community. I mean, that's one of the great things about what we're doing here at Daily Detroit. Like, it's good to have people like. That's why we bring all these really smart people. There's so many people smarter than me out there in the world.
Way smarter than me.
Nick is one of them.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Let's see. Some other interesting. Mr. Duckett follows up. This will be a national security issue. I don't disagree there.
Bro, you know how many national security issues we got right now?
I think it already is.
Yeah, it already is a national security issue.
You're seeing. I saw some fake stuff with even that European visit with Zelensky.
I see that all the time. Anytime that there's any like. To this day, was Trump actually on the roof of the White House?
Yes.
Like, that was one video where I wasn't sure.
Right, I wasn't sure at first either because it sounds wild.
And it was one where there was only one angle, and eventually the other not a lot of the news platforms picked up on it. But then I quickly saw how AI generated, I will say, reproductions of the video were out there. And it got a little strange. So I kind of just let that go. And I thought, let me just move on to the next one. But you're right. Like, anything that is public, like you saw when Putin was at the White House, or I don't know where they were. When Putin and Trump met, I saw all sorts of weird AI slop that came out of that.
I mean, listen, it's already a national security issue because, again, the power of video generation and video manipulation. It's not going to take a lot for somebody to create a completely digital false flag operation,
or something that creates a different crisis, right? That goes that goes down the line, kind of butterfly effect. Yeah, and then the institutions that we have can't catch up to the speed because the internet moves so fast. Like, we talk about that a lot on the show, where technology or people or whatever are moving so fast that everything around it just moves too slow.
Actually, I had a question, which was, I forgot to ask it on air, but I had a question, which is, do you see at any point where society, or at least segments of society, just begin to reject this stuff? I don't want to say en masse.
That's a big existential question there. I mean, I think we're starting to see some of that. I honestly I don't think we will, because I don't think people will understand, will fully grasp what all is AI or not. I don't think these platforms will ever get shut down. I think there will be a natural evolution of these that will possibly take us to a new frontier that somehow enables us to better understand what is fake and what is real. I have no idea what that looks like, though. Right. I am at a point where I just kind of take it. I just look out 1 year ahead, because I don't know what's going to be coming after that. When I learned about ChatGPT in late 2022, I had no idea. I thought, okay, this is interesting, but I did not see that. I don't think anybody really saw that coming. But the idea of ChatGPT and an AI that can talk with you, a more intellectual chatbot that can give you like food and exercise recommendations, that can be your therapist, that can be your personal assistant. I don't think anybody really understood that going into that end of 2022 time period. Now we are getting to the point where the question is, what can't it do? Mm-hmm. And that to me is a scary thought. There was a report done on what are the jobs that are going to be taken by AI first, and that are never going to be taken by AI. And it was exactly what you thought. Those menial, process-oriented, data entering positions.
Paralegals, I saw was a big one.
Those were the ones that were easy to replace. Whereas you had people like trash collectors, gardeners, people like physical labor. Those are the ones that are going to be the hardest. But again, you never know when that humanoid AI, essentially like that world of iRobot, like people are saying that we're not too far away from that. I'm a little bit more skeptical. I think we are a ways away.
I think the engineering, like the real space engineering is quite there.
It's kind of like what you were saying about why the internet moves so fast. Facebook can launch a new a new UI, and people can be all up in arms about it. And if it's really bad, they can pull it back in 30 seconds, no harm done. If an autonomous vehicle is out on the road being tested for the first time in live traffic, people could die.
Yeah.
So the consequences on the internet are just almost nothing. But now we are entering a point where they are real consequences. Mm-hmm. Now you could create something that can do real harm. I don't know if we've seen the true psychological harm that it's made yet. I mean, we're hearing more and more about people like us, in our I don't know, in their 30s and 40s, who we came up with in the early days of the internet. We kind of struggled and we kind of grew up with it, and we are at a point now where we're learning more and more about the behavioral and the psychological effects it has on us. I'm curious as to what this is going to have about Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and I guess us down the line when my kids are growing up with AI here as AI is growing up, kind of like a coming of age tale for the technology. But I have no idea what it's going to be like when they're adults. I mean, I'm working in a profession that did not exist when I was in kindergarten. If I had said when I was 5 years old, oh, I'm going to work in social media, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
It's not a podcasting. That's not a thing either.
Yeah. Which
is also weird in itself. Like, didn't that come from iPod, by the way?
I mean, there's
the term did. It's an extension of broadcasting, but like there was stuff like RSS feeds and whatnot.
Right,
like
RSS feeds
before this. But I think one of the things to what you said that's so interesting about the longitudinal studies of like AI and the effects on people is that, I've worked with youth in the past, and I've worked with Gen Z and in some cases Gen Alpha very closely. And there are some very distinct generational shifts in terms of behavioral patterns. I mean, with Gen Alpha, every kid is going to have the ability to have an imaginary friend that is going to know everything about them, every struggle they've ever had from the time they were 8 years old and old enough to read and use a phone every day to the time they die. Like that is a concept that I think as people in our 30s, 40s and above just have no concept over.
Well, and on one hand, I see both sides of that. On one side, like, good, that could really help with some of the issues that you go through growing up. You don't want to talk to your parents about something that happened. Let me talk to whatever we're going to call it then. But then obviously the issue is the privacy.
Absolutely.
How are we going to be able to lock that down and make sure that nobody else can access it, like, ever? Because it's essentially a journal, like from our times, but it's now taking all of that information and being able to speak back to you and provide you with the support or the recommendations that you might need. I mean, I don't know if I would probably in general try, like, I don't think ChatGPT is going to do anything evil if my kids were to use it and ask for help, in general.
Yeah.
Maybe someday. That's the other thing is, like, how much do you trust the platform? There's a lot of questions.
There's so many questions around it.
Yeah, I can see, again, in theory, it sounds good. It sounds like it could be used for good. But then we always jump to, all right, it could also be really bad.
Terrible. I mean, it could exacerbate, the loneliness issue. It could get people to go further into their enclaves.
More incels.
Yeah. It could be terrible, man. But, it is a concept and a paradigm that just I could never have thought would have ever existed.
As somebody who's been a business reporter, I can't help but think about the economic impacts, not only if it's successful, but if it doesn't hit the mark, right? You see all these data centers being built. You see so much of our economy and our stock market, although the stock market is not the economy, absolutely true. But so much of our value is wrapped up in these big tech companies. If this doesn't pan out, what does this look like, especially in the mode of we do have some softness in other areas? And what does that look like for jobs, for investment, for, if there is a bubble, which even Sam Altman's talked about a little bit. So I think about those, second and third order effects.
This is absolutely an AI bubble, especially when you think of it from in the in the not just AI, but I would say with any tech company.
Just
I mean,
tech.
just look at Reddit. Reddit's been publicly traded for I think less than a year, and it launched around 50, and now it's at like 250. It's insane, and there's not really a clear business reason as to why. Like I understand the I use Reddit, whatever it's used, but it seems like we're at a point where just the money and how it flows to these tech companies, it's so easy for them to raise so much money. Back to my classic astronomer example, the guy who succeeded the ousted CEO, he went on record after the whole thing went down, and he said, well, a small startup like us has never, this is an enormous amount of media coverage. And then I looked them up, and they raised like $40 million or something in their latest round of funding. Mm-hmm. They have 200 employees. Like, that is not a small startup.
No.
But we are at the point now in our economy where it's kind of like in the show Silicon Valley. It's all based on valuation. It's all based on potential. Once your product goes live and it becomes tangible, that's when everything falls apart.
And that's when I look at stocks like, and I'm not meaning this to like kick Elon in the teeth, but like, if you valued Tesla as an automotive company, it would look like a very different situation.
But it's not.
It's that valuation. It's that speculation that it's going to be something more than what GM, Ford, Toyota, whatever is. If that ever, and there's a lot of people who have incentive for it not to burst.
Yeah.
That's the other thing to remember. That like coming down to earth on this stuff, there's a lot of people who would lose a lot of money. And so therefore there is an incentive to keep things up. Mm-hmm. But I often look at that as somebody who has been steeped in automotive, coverage for many years. If it ever got valuated as a auto company, so much of people's value would just burn off instantaneously.
And the thing, just talking about that is that also all it takes is just for a better product to come out, right? Like, we talk about the valuation of something like Reddit. Canva, I think, is about to, if they didn't go public today, I know it was this week, but Canva was supposed to go public. And, they'll be valued highly because think about how many people use Canva on a daily basis, right? But
people are now talking about, is Adobe dead?
yeah, exactly. People are just like, did it kill Photoshop?
That's a great narrator voice.
You should use that more what are all these things when honestly all it takes is for one other product that just so happens to do it slightly better, and all of that valuation goes out the window. Like, people aren't like Canva diehards. Like, people are.
I don't know.
No, I'm saying in terms of the comparison between brands like Canva and brands like Ford, GM, Chrysler, where people have built entire generations worth of familial identity around them.
Well, it speaks back to the ephemeral element of where we are today.
Yeah.
I don't use Canva that much, but I know people that are in there hours a day, and it is crucial to their success as freelancers, as designers.
I use it every
Right.
day.
I mean, I use it a couple times a week, but still, they are getting value, deriving value from it immediately in the short term. They're seeing how it helps them, whereas it feels like there's a little bit of a lost ideals on the whole idea of the automotive companies and companies that have really helped build your families for decades and generations, not to mention the idea of the other stuff that came with these companies over the last 100 years, such as our beloved mass transit, or the lack thereof. And so I think that becomes more of a double-edged sword, whereas someone who uses Canva, one of us is... I use it all the time. Like, I'll buy a couple of shares. I don't think it's I just looked it up. I couldn't find it, but it's probably coming online soon.
Soon, yeah.
And that you're right. That's probably going to be one of them that just skyrockets off the bat. Now, when is that going to come back down to earth? That's always my fear. Maybe I'll probably try to get in on Canva at first too, just expecting a similar trend to Reddit. But then it's like any moment now it's going to burst. And at what point is that actually going to happen? And
what is the difference between that speculation and then the reality? Like T Prime here in the chat, Canva is incredibly popular among teachers also as a data point. And that makes absolute sense. As somebody who, look, I worked in the communications and agency world I know Illustrator, I know Photoshop, I know Premiere, I know the entire suite except for Lightroom.
Lightroom,
I'm not because I'm not really a photograph guy.
yeah. No. Or
but-
After Effects. I never used After Effects.
I've used After Effects before,
Yeah,
but Canva is so much more accessible for folks, especially if you're a teacher. I think back again. So before we were recording, or maybe it was, we were joking about how much older I am.
Yes.
The Ditto machine.
You're old.
Right, but like Canva is the Ditto machine of you can just put everything together.
You know what makes
And it
me
just
feel
works.
old?
I don't know.
Overhead projectors.
I don't know what a Ditto machine is.
Oh, this
See?
is before copiers.
Old. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, like a dot.
No. Like this would be like you could like make like crappy copies of things without having like this is a whole.
This must be an area of technology that has completely eluded me. I mean, I think of Ditto and I think of the Pokemon Ditto.
Yes.
Otherwise known as a spirit duplicator.
That's Ditto. Yep, that's him. That's the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen that before.
Okay.
It comes with an instruction book and everything. That you're
Yeah.
that old though. That instruction book
See?
looks
See?
ancient.
See?
Yeah,
Old.
that
So
looks
you have
like
so I don't know. I'm not going to make Adam go through this, but you can see. I'll put it on my
that
camera.
looks a little bit more. 80s.
I'll put it on my
Old.
camera.
That looks
Okay?
more 80s. Yeah.
Right. Well, this is from the 60s. So instead of having to do before like mass Xerox copiers
That's
and
back
whatever,
when the Xerox
you
cost.
could hand crank it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the credit card thing that you would do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
it's like it's
make
copying, it's
duplicates.
grabbing the raised ink or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like on a credit card, that's why the numbers are raised. It's also weird how we're at this point where there are because of how fast technology advances, you have things like a save button. How many people
Know what
use
the
that save button and know what that is? Do you know what a floppy disk is?
They don't.
Or the other thing that I like to is like the credit card. A lot of them still have raised numbers for that.
Yep.
But then I think too of like just the terminology that you see in stores. Like apparently, I mean, nobody uses Xerox anymore, right? But that was that. Apparently, that's just a company. That's not like an actual term. Kind of like Kleenex and tissue. I don't
Yeah.
know. There's all
Or
sorts of
Pop-Tarts.
strange. Well, Pop-Tarts. That's
Yeah.
just the company.
But I mean, you call all of those things Pop-Tarts.
Are there other Pop-Tarts?
Yeah.
Generic
Toaster. They're what are they? Toaster.
Toaster strudels.
Toaster
But
strudels.
That's different.
But
That's
there's
different.
also like toast.
Band-Aid is a good one.
Yeah.
What?
Clean. Yeah.
Band-Aid.
Band-Aid?
Yeah, Band-Aid is a brand, but you call
Yeah.
all of those bandages Band-Aids.
That's true. Yeah, I think they're called like adhesive strips or maybe
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
We got more questions. How much
Yes.
time do you got, by the way?
I have. I'm good. Keep going.
Okay, so we'll keep
Keep
you around
bringing-
for like another like
Keep bringing the questions.
5-10 minutes, and
Sure,
then we'll take a
whatever-
short break, go
whatever
to
you
our
wanna
more
do.
our,
Yeah,
our other stuff we want to record. But please get your questions in. Tommy says, "Good Lord, I forgot about Ditto machines." Yes, thank you, Tommy, for validating me.
Old.
I appreciate you so much, Michael. If your nephew is 15 and he asks what he should focus on in school for safe job skills, is there any rational answer, or do things change too fast and just tell him to pray there will be jobs?
Be a plumber, dog.
Well,
Honestly, the trade skills is not a bad idea, but a lot of times
I have a thought on this too.
But a lot of times that's not what they want to hear. Like if someone had told me when I was 15, "Oh yeah, you should learn how to repair HVAC systems," like in the show Community,
HVAC
like
people I know make money.
I
They
know,
make bank.
but if somebody had told me that when I was any age, I would have said, no. Like I need something more highbrow, right? Because there's this perception about the trades that it is not, for whatever reason, these physical labor jobs, which I kind of wish I could move around more in my job right now, that it kind of like diminishes them and the reputation. And so as a result, you had people like me, like I was a pretty high performing high school student where it's like, oh, no, I need to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Well, jokes on everyone else. I was not a doctor or a lawyer, but I went into marketing, and which is also kind of looked at as like the ugly stepchild of business areas of development anyways. But it's, it really is one of the trade skills because I don't know what else is for sure going to last.
I mean, I look at it that way. One of the most successful people in my family, I have an uncle who's a plumber, and he has this giant big house in Southfield somewhere. And, I've been lucky enough to be able to know people who work in the skilled trades, electricians, plumbers, HVAC repair people. And I'm like, they are on point. They're good. So, you know, when younger people ask me like, okay, well, what should I do? Like, I think we're at a point now where the concept of being defined by this one thing that you do is dead.
That's the entrepreneurship part. Yeah.
Yeah, like that, to me, that's
Multiple
dead.
streams of income.
Multiple streams of income, because we've destroyed capitalism to a point to where
That's like, it's, well, I just
you can't
posted
live off one gig.
I just posted a carousel and on Instagram and LinkedIn today about all these TikTok side hustles that people talk about, and a guy like tested them all out. So I went in and you know reshared it. So that's an interesting one too. It's all about passive income.
Like, why not be a plumber that also makes board games on the side? Like,
You know,
that
I know-
sounds so fun.
So when I was growing up, there was somebody I knew who worked at the Ford Rouge, but also was an archivist of pottery and did national exhibitions in Washington, D.C., but worked 4 days a week, 4 10s at the Ford Rouge plant.
And
with
how
steel.
fulfilled
And
do you think his life was?
Super. This man had so many brunches.
That's what I'm saying.
Now-
Was brunch a thing back then?
Oh,
Absolutely.
You people.
What do you
You people.
mean?
Actually, my add-on to this is the idea of valuing epistemology, or the method of thinking. Be a critical thinker.
Yeah.
So many of these things we cannot predict what they will be. But if you are somebody who enjoys learning, enjoys the theory of how to learn new skills. If you look at your job, there's so many things that I do now that did not exist. I first learned how to edit video on like giant clunky machines that went bzzz and had big old
Not
keyboards.
like the actual literally cutting it with.
I do know how to do that, but that had faded out
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
my time.
That's good. So you're not that old.
I'm not that old, but
I had to do that in a class. I used to be a film major, and after that class, I was no longer a film major.
It's too tedious. It's even too tedious digitally sometimes.
Those skills actually help me out in that idea of, well, if you're only going to make one cut, then make it good. Think about how stories are
Measure
built.
twice, cut once.
Right. And so that idea of being into always learning new stuff, with the idea that part of the job is always going to be learning new stuff. There is no world where things stay frozen anymore. That world is done.
Right.
So if you find enjoyment out of learning new stuff, I think you're going to be okay and be open to the idea that you are always going to have to pick up new skills. And I know that's a very plastic brain way of looking at things.
I don't think it is.
No, I'd say that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't think it's a plastic way of thinking at all. I mean, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was that no skill you ever acquire in life is pointless. There's not
That's right.
one thing you know how to do that's pointless, because at some point it'll come back up. Like, you know, I used to do like a whole high school rap thing like many people did in the 2000s.
I keep looking for them
And
tapes.
you're not going to find them. They're gone. I
But-
have them, but you'll never find them.
But
But
is
the
the
point
skill
is,
of using a ditto machine, is that still relevant?
listen, they have phased those out long before I ever entered the public school system. But the point is that now, as somebody who literally edits audio every day, obtaining that skill when I was in 9th grade voluntarily because I wanted to be a rapper is something I use. And that is the kind of thing that I would tell a 15-year-old now, is that whatever you're passionate about, keep those skills, retain those skills, look for a thing that kind of leans into what you're good at that'll make you money, but always have these other skills that, you know, make you happy. Have a thing that makes you money, have a thing that makes you happy.
T Prime, I think, doubles down on that, saying critical thinking for sure and drilling into the idea that you never stop learning. Mike adds trades and critical thinking and people skills. I'm going to
Soft skills,
soft
doggy.
skills.
Soft
skills.
skills.
Every job I've ever had that's been worth anything, I did not apply for.
Yep.
That is
Same.
just the reality.
Same.
Every job that I've had that's been worth anything, I knew somebody. Or they saw my work and they called me up. They're like, you need to be part of this.
And
Or do you want to be part of
maintain
it?
a relationship.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, it goes back to what we were talking about with the job postings. A lot of times these companies too, they post it because they have to. They already have an internal candidate or they have somebody else.
Yep.
So it's like the idea of posting cold job, what would I call this? Cold job applications. Those are, I wouldn't say they're dead, but they're almost dead.
That's sort of where, when you're talking about digital marketing and social media, that's where that can come into play. Do work that people can see. Show
Yeah.
people your work that's good. And I mean, don't make a fool of yourself, but like show people work that you're like, hey, you're involved in the community. Hey, you're volunteering. Hey, like you're creating this thing, whatever it is you're passionate about, so people can see that you can do it. Because as somebody who's been around a lot of hiring, it's real expensive to hire wrong.
Whew.
It costs what I forget what the stat was that Ryan mentions in that episode of The Office, but it costs like 5 times more to hire somebody new than it does to just retain staff. And that's the other thing is, like, I tell my students each semester, my big parting words are that if you want to get a job, you need to create an online portfolio where you can show your skills without actually showing them. Put anything you have there and put that on your resume, because as a hiring manager, when I look at resumes and there's a link to a portfolio or even a LinkedIn page, I'm going to go there first. That's usually going to tell me all I need to know if someone is at least meeting the baseline qualifications.
T Prime Tommy has a message for you, Norris.
Yes, he says, I used to have a GeoCities page back in the late 90s, early 2000s where I learned HTML, and I use those skills today. Yeah, facts, bro. If you had a MySpace page, you know HTML.
Oh, yeah. That's how I learned HTML.
Yeah, if you had a MySpace page and you want to take your text and make it glittery, you had to know how to do that. You had to know how to embed a music player or files in order to have the most flyest page.
Well,
I still use that today.
For the colors as well, and you would answer
Hex
a survey,
codes.
and they'd be like, copy and paste this into your profile, and then I do that, and I'd say, okay, that looks weird. Let me go in and see if I can tinker with it, make it look a little bit better. It all came down back then to, okay, how do I make a profile that looks most appealing to girls?
Flat out.
And when I would do that, and it would come out, it was kind of like what we all do today. It would come out not perfect. Let me think about my target audience. I don't know if I'd like this. Let me go back into edit page, change like the secondary or tertiary color, change my response to one of these survey questions because maybe I was a little callous in my answers. Then I'd go back. I need a different song that I'm going to play in the player.
Because now that song's old.
Yeah,
and we need a new jam.
And it goes to this. I don't know if you've ever heard of account-based marketing.
Yep.
But as someone, like growing up learning about account-based marketing, I was like, why would I need this? Then I realized if I applied it to myself when I was 16 and I had MySpace, it was like, no, there's one girl and I know what song she wants to see on the player. I'm going to go in and I'm going to change that. That's account-based marketing where you are tailoring your marketing efforts to a specific account.
No skills are pointless.
I bet you dating apps would be a whole lot better if you had to
if
HTML.
it was just MySpace.
If it was MySpace, you'd have to put care into it.
Let me tell you something. I got a date off MySpace one time because I had put, number one, my own music on MySpace, and so it would hit, and people be
Your
like,
music. Oh,
what's
that's
that
cool.
song? And I'd be like, it's me.
That means there's a digital record of your music somewhere.
Oh, no, it's gone.
I've tried. I've gone. The issue
gone.
and if anybody knows this, I'd love to know like what the URL structure was on MySpace profiles circa 2006, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to go back using the Internet Archive to go back and find my profile. The problem is I don't know what the URL structure was.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as it is today, right? LinkedIn, it's linkedin.com/in for whatever reason, /Nick-Matar. Easy. I'm sure back in 20 years ago, it was hard.
We have nerds. And I feel like in fact, somebody just literally did marquee what up doe / marquee.
Yeah.
What up, doe / marquee.
Listen, but that was the jam, and that's what you did. And I remember one of the things that confounded me, and I finally was able to figure it out, is because I had a repeating photo of myself as my background. I was wearing like a Hollister shirt, and the collar was popped all the way up with some buffs.
Did you see the episode with him as a Rebel Nell model?
Yeah, that
No.
happened. But anyway,
I
the
did
point
not
is,
see
Go
that.
back in the YouTube. Check that out.
I'm going to have to do that.
yeah, but the point is that I did all that, but the edges of it would cut the photo off prematurely, and so I was like, oh, like how do I figure this out? And I went into the code, and I was like, oh, okay, like I was able to change the aspect ratio of each block, and then there was blocks that I had to change individually to make sure that it all fit in the page.
That's a challenge. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like I did the same thing with. Well, so I had the one thing I will say, just to wrap up the MySpace analogy.
This is a journey.
I actually had a girl message me and was like, reaching out to me for, I don't remember how it started, but the fact that a girl was talking to me preemptively showed me the power of online marketing.
Yes.
And at the time, it was more personal branding. But I vividly remember thinking like, oh, this works. Like people are on the internet and they do use what they see to influence their purchasing decisions. And the fact that I like that to me was really the intro to it. You know, Facebook came around and totally changed the game.
Yeah.
But there was a solid 18 months where the top 8 was always a point of consternation. The other elements, the other add-ons. And now I think of I have a WordPress site, and when you get down back to basics, a lot of it is the same where now you have an easy drag and drop editor, but I'm constantly thinking I know how people use my website. They don't find me on my website, but they hear about me through somewhere else and they go to my website to learn more. And that's kind of like that point at the bottom of the funnel where they make the decision whether or not they're going to work with me and my business. So for me, I have to put the content on there that, to go back to the MySpace terms, how can I close the deal and get the date?
Yep.
And so it's like the right content. You need to understand also, who exactly is it? Who is this for? And it also ties back to AI, where you're thinking about really what is the idea and who this is for and what are the problems that we're trying to solve? Because it kind of feels like, back to our original topic of AI, it feels like it's trying to solve everything and it's only creating more problems.
Yeah, facts. I just remember people hustling MySpace pages.
That's
what
funny.
we did is we would hustle
That would be a good freelance gig. Yeah,
building people's MySpace
Should have thought about
pages.
that.
You need a shirt that says MySpace Hustler.
I should actually.
You
I'm sure
should.
it exists.
It does.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us for a bit. I really appreciate you. I like our after hours chat too. That is going to stay up on our YouTube.
Awesome.
Because I think it'll be a lot of fun for folks. We are going to take a very short break, just a few minutes before we shift gears completely and kick Nick out. I mean, Nick's
okay.
welcome to stay, but I'm sure this one isn't for you. But we're going to talk about this mayoral endorsement, a bunch of endorsements to Mayor Mike Duggan, a bunch of other stuff. We're going to do a little mini episode, and then of course answer your questions and things like that. So hang out with us for a few minutes. Producer Adam will put up a little graphic. I'm going to go use the facilities, and we will be back. And we are back. Thanks for sticking with us. I hope you had some fun with that last segment. I feel like we all learned a lot. You know, Norris Howard, you and I were getting ready for this next part, and couldn't help but think about American Gladiators.
Yeah, because a thing I do for some reason when I'm coming back on my own streams, I usually go, contestants ready, gladiators ready, and if I had a whistle, I would blow a whistle. Because I love American Gladiators. I think it is the most 90s show ever created, and it is one of the best things we've ever made because it fully embraced steroids, and which is what baseball should have did.
Now that Hulk Hogan is gone, I feel like I can now enjoy again. I am a real American. You know, his intro music, because he was all about this. He, allegedly was all about.
Oh, say your prayers and eat your vitamins. His vitamins were steroids. So
allegedly.
But listen, man, I loved all that stuff. See, I never really was a super big fan of Hulk Hogan. I was much more of an Ultimate Warrior kid.
That sounds right.
I needed my wrestlers to be way more unhinged. So
see, that's why I like Hacksaw Mike.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Oh,
yeah, that was great. You know what I thought about the other day? I've got a yard, on the east side. I want on a pedestal. I want a tennis ball cannon,
the tennis ball cannon,
right?
Oh man, you would have to run through the obstacle course and not get hit by 90-mile-an-hour tennis balls.
Do we need to do this at Daily Detroit?
Yeah.
An obstacle course in my yard? I got the space.
We need a yard and we need a tennis ball cannon.
Can you imagine Big Lucci in an obstacle course?
And we fire 100-mile-an-hour tennis balls at them.
This is going to be fun.
It's going to be fantastic.
Of course, you're all going to also fire them at me.
Yeah, I mean, we all got to participate. That's the point. But it would be fantastic.
And see, Adam would participate, and he would just rewire everything where it would all turn on us.
Hold on.
He would be like in the middle of it and hit a button on his wrist, producer Adam, and all of a sudden it would all just turn on us, and we would just all get hit with tennis balls.
I gotta give love to Mr. Wong in the chat. Hacksaw Mike Duggan.
Oh. Okay, somebody needs to make that graphic.
Do it right now.
Do it. Somebody needs to do that.
With
Hacksaw
the
Mike.
American flag and a big 2x4. Instead of a 2x4, he just holds a giant 3-liter of Faygo.
Something I wanted to do that I can't do now. Something I always wanted to do was an Instagram account, and I wanted it to be Mayor Mike Puggin. I wanted to get a pug and just shadow his press events a few days afterwards, and put like a little tie on him.
Yeah,
everything else.
Hold him up
or have a little podium. And then pugging along the back, and then just have a link to the Humane Society.
That'd be cool. You could still do it.
Yeah, I guess
There's nothing that's stopping you.
I know, but everyone's going to look at it as being so political, and I just want to raise money for dogs.
I feel you. The last thing I'm going to say before we get into our serious topics is I also like the kids spinoff of American Gladiator called Nickelodeon Guts, if anybody remembers that show. That was American Gladiators for kids. They didn't compete against other gladiators. They more so competed against each other. And at the end, they had to climb a giant indoor mountain called the Aggro Crag, and they would throw rocks.
The Aggro Crag?
The Aggro Crag. And they would
That sounds like something I pick up at the smoke shop.
Yeah. You know what? I wouldn't be shocked if there was a strain of weed called Aggro Crag. And yeah, so it was a fantastic show. If you ever get a chance to go back and watch Nickelodeon Guts or Legends of the Hidden Temple, yeah, do you have it, Guts?
That's amazing.
Fantastic show.
All right, let's hop into what we're going to do. So people know we are going to do a little mini web exclusive, and the audio will go on our Patreon, patreon.com/dailydetroit. Kind of doing a little mini update on the news about Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan endorsing Mary Sheffield and setting it up. So when we're doing this, if you've got questions, things like that, let us know. We'll talk some more in the chat afterward. I think this is a big piece of news, but I also know that this changes the tenor of things in that, I don't know if it changes tenors and things, but maybe it just trying to think of the right words here, but it makes it less of a story. This race, we're going to spend more time on the council going forward, I think is what this tells me.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that for a special edition of Daily Detroit. And then, we'll chat with y'all and head on out of here. I really appreciate everyone who's been hanging out with us this whole time. It's been Absolutely awesome. I didn't know if the AI topic would resonate with people. It seemed to. All right. Recording audio. And in 5, 4, 3. Hello and welcome to a special edition of your Daily Detroit for Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. I am Jer Stays, coming to you from our studio at Techtown, and across the table from me with this somewhat breaking news and analysis is Norris Howard. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? We are back once again here to talk about stuff going on in the great city of Detroit.
The Prince of Brightmoor himself.
What's up?
You know, somebody was confused online thinking that your name was Howard, but no, your first name is Norris, your last name is Howard.
Correct.
Which of his name? Third of his name?
Yes.
Right.
Norris Howard, third of his name, Prince of Brightmoor, and Duke of the West Side in all his territories.
And as a Duke of the West Side, this is the news in case you don't know. Sam Robinson, our friend over at Detroit 1 Million, first reported this, that Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan has endorsed Mary Sheffield to be the next mayor of Detroit City Council, President Mary Sheffield. If you recall, last week on this very show, Sam talked about how this thing is over. The one thing that Kinloch's people need to do is to make sure Mike Duggan does not endorse Mary Sheffield.
Game 7 on that. That's a done deal. Earlier this week, as we were recording other aspects of the show, Mike Duggan came out and formally endorsed Mary Sheffield for mayor of Detroit. And I think what it is that it's not so much about him endorsing her. I think that was probably a foregone conclusion considering how wide her lead was at the end of the primary. The far more interesting thread of conversation for me is now that endorsement has to go the other way, which is she runs for mayor, she wins the mayoral's office, and now the mayor of Detroit endorses Mike Duggan for governor.
Which, to be fair, Mike already has more than 50% of the Detroit vote in polling.
Well, but now he gets the rest of it. And that's the thing. So you look at the plurality, essentially, that Mary Sheffield has in the city. I don't think that he would have that same level of vote share when it came to the governor's race, especially considering that Jocelyn Benson would more than likely be the Democratic nominee, who will be getting massive party backing. And there will be a ground game, next year to mobilize the Democratic base of Detroit. But if and when Mary Sheffield now comes out and endorses Mike Duggan for governor, that creates a paradigm now where, I think it's going to be very difficult for the Democratic nominee to be able to make any sort of headwind in the population center of the state.
Tied in with this was the news last night of a bunch of bipartisan endorsements, I believe at Michigan Central, for Mike Duggan. A show of force. Many university regions, a lot of mid-level officials, not to belittle them, but a lot of mid-level officials on both sides of the aisle. People who I look at something like that and go, Denise Illich is somebody who announced, and she is part of that family, but she's also been very involved in politics and also Democratic politics.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing of that would be Jocelyn's core base. And I'm starting to wonder, where's the money for her?
Yeah, I mean.
And where does she go as far as her track? And where does that sit into candidates like Garland Gilchrist, who I feel like should be making a lot more noise, but isn't?
Yeah, I mean, I love Garland. I think he has great ideas. I think he's somebody that will, in some way, contribute to the tapestry of Michigan politics in the future once again. But I just think we are so far gone with his campaign that it will be between John James, Jocelyn Benson, and Mike Duggan.
No, I don't. It's going to be...
Well, Rogers is running for Senate.
That's right.
Yeah, Rogers is running for Senate. But, I think when you had that trifecta, it's going to be hard for the Democratic nominee to be able to pull anything from a coalition that's strong. Not only are you talking about the Illiches, you're talking about the Bernstein family of Sam Bernstein fame, where you have Mark Bernstein, I believe, who sits on the board of regents of Wayne State. It's either Wayne State or University of Michigan.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, well, it's gone now. But the point is on the board of regents of one of the universities, and a number of those people who, as you said, not only would normally be big time Democratic donors, but also are people who got big time resources when it comes to being able to have those fundraisers for the 100,000-aires of Michigan, and would help him have a coalition going into how he could deploy out state. Because that's the big question for Mike Duggan. Like, if Mike Duggan doesn't win the governor's race, it's because Jocelyn Benson outperformed him or John James outperformed him out state. That's going to be the big thing. But when you have a war chest of this size, it becomes really hard for people to compete with that.
So we're talking now, and in this special edition episode, so we're taking Sam Robinson's advice on this, right? We're calling that. We're not, obviously we're going to go through it. We're going to continue to follow it, and there could be major developments, but we're calling this locked.
In terms for Mary Sheffield, yeah. The thing with the mayoral race is that I am not sure,
or I should say no contest.
Yeah. I'm not sure about how many more votes Kinloch can get, right? Like, let's say the more conservative side or the more moderate side goes with Kinloch, the people who voted for the former chief of police, those who voted for, Durhall, whatever. Like, let's say they all go to the Kinloch, right? He'd still lose. Like, that's how big the hill to climb is.
Do you think the Duggan endorsement cuts off the universe of new voters? So, right, because there's a bunch of voters who generally vote in general elections that didn't vote in the primary. Does this endorsement cut that off?
I don't think it cuts it off. I think, if anything, it may get certain people out to the polls. I think there are certain people who really do rock with Mike Duggan, and I think there are certain people who really don't like him. And I think in both cases, that energizes people. Strong feeling energizes people. Ambivalence makes people do nothing. So I think, regardless of the fact of if he endorsed Mary or not, the fact that the fact that he did endorse Mary will spur more people to the polls. I think definitely more than this primary.
Or do you think it'll be enough to make a difference?
For Kinloch, no. I don't.
It will shake up the council races, though. I think
it will shake up the council races,
which is where we're going to spend a lot more time, I think, going forward.
And I think we should, because I think so far those races are significantly more competitive. But I think also we are taking away a big factor in this race, which is Detroiters will have the opportunity to put the first woman in the mayor's office. People like being a part of history. People like showing that this is not a detractor as voters. They like to be seen as enlightened in some ways, particularly in purple and or blue states. And I think that we can't take that factor away from the electorate. I mean, they've shown it in the primary that this is kind of what majority of the voters so far want.
I want to play a little game of what if with you.
Sure, let's get it.
What if Kinloch never ran? What do you think? I think Mary still would have carried it. I still think Mary would have carried it.
I think Mary would have still carried it, but we would have been put in a position where it would have been her and Santil Jenkins. I think no matter what, we would have had a female mayor.
So voters would be making a historic decision either way, which makes it more of a toss-up.
Yes. Then it becomes a battle of ideas, right?
And there is Sam alluded to some tension between them.
Yeah, and I think that would play out in a much more dramatic fashion as opposed to Kinloch and Mary. But the fact of the matter is that I think if Kinloch doesn't run, the religious vote goes to Mary Sheffield.
So I wanted to talk about that because a lot of people on social media have been messaging me and sending ads about how, don't underestimate the church and things like that. But I think a lot of people on social media, especially in the suburbs, do not understand the deep ties that Mary Sheffield has to the church. Let's talk about it.
They don't, they don't understand the deep ties. They don't understand Horace Sheffield and even Horace Sheffield's father and their deep ties to Detroit politics, Michigan politics, the work that Dabo has done in the communities across Detroit. It's one of those things where, again, if you are sort of insular to the suburbs, it will be difficult for you to understand that connection because it is very much so a Detroit thing, right? But she's super tied into the church. I mean, I believe she's an ordained minister herself.
Yes, I believe so too.
And the religious vote is not a monopoly on Dirt Hall. Excuse me, not Dirt Hall, on Kinloch. So I think that's a part of it. Again, more people vote in generals than vote in primaries, so these numbers could change. But so far, the polling, the election results, the energy, the money, all of the things that most people say you need to win an election, she has.
So I don't normally do this in the audio portion, but we are live streaming this. And one of our listeners, Mr. Duggan, says around 83% of voters didn't vote. New Detroit is locked, but old Detroit hasn't spoken. I actually wholeheartedly disagree with that.
Yeah, that's
because the data shows that it's actually old Detroit that votes.
Yeah,
overwhelmingly. When you talk about, let's talk about Victory Row. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about those concepts really quick because I don't blame you for thinking that way, but the data shows the reverse.
Yeah, so Victory Row is that corridor of Livernois that kind of touches some of the most affluent and stable communities in Detroit. So you're talking about Fitzgerald, Bagley, University District, Palmer Woods, Sherwood Forest, so on and so forth.
That is not New Detroit.
There's nothing New Detroit about that. That is about as old Detroit gets. And it is as stable. It literally is as stable as Detroit gets. And those neighborhoods are still well over 85 to almost 90% African American. And so we are talking about a voting block that very much so will help decide who is the next mayor. And that voting block went to Mary Sheffield.
Yeah. I think also when you look at the age data, it's overwhelmingly older in primaries. There was some great work that Outlier did around that. If you look at the data, older people vote in primaries. It's younger and newer people that vote in the general.
Yeah, and listen, I think, based off, and this is me being anecdotal, right? Because, again, not a lot of people voted. That is true. But when we're looking at a general election and people are going to have to make the decision between, Kinloch and Mary. And again, I am not this is not an endorsement. This is me.
Yeah, this is about strategy here.
Strategy and me looking at what kind of the situation on the ground is, which is when I was at Mary's victory party, almost all I saw were young people, young professional Black Detroiters. So if young professional Black Detroit is with Mary Sheffield, old professional Black Detroit is with Mary Sheffield, we'll say the church vote is a 50-50, right? Or even let's say 60-40 in favor of Kinloch. That leaves New Detroit. That leaves the Southwest. Where does the vote in the Southwest go? Because I still think that's going to be an interesting battleground in the mayoral race, while it is also an interesting battleground for city council, as well as the far west side. If those things are split between the two, Mary Sheffield still wins.
Yeah, the point is being made of 83%. That's the data of people, but the reality is that there's no world where 50% of Detroiters are going to vote in this election.
At most,
that's not going to happen. And I've watched enough of these elections, and I've seen this same argument so many times, and it's something where I've never seen the argument play out, right? And New Detroit, if you want to argue about New Detroit, anecdotally, yeah, some Mary, but some Durhall.
Yeah.
Some Chantil. Lots of Chantil. A lot of Chantil when you come to quote unquote New Detroit.
Yeah, a lot of Chantil. And that's because, again, she had this background of of community work and working with thought and people that came in with News Detroit. There's a lot of the nonprofit class that was involved with helping her campaign out. A lot of people that were very familiar with her work with her. And yeah, a lot of New Detroit rocked with her. Do I think a lot of New Detroit now goes to Kinloch? I don't necessarily see that thread.
New Detroit, I don't think so. The reason being is that there's a lot of distrust, I think. Although Kinloch has made very clear statements about the LGBTQ community, a lot of New Detroit is going to be very wary about that. And there's a lot of worriness about making sure that the success we've had continues, regardless of the billionaires, regardless of the other stuff. When I'm on my street talking to black people, they feel like things are better. Yeah. And if they see something that's a continuation of that, that maybe some of that same staff is going to still be there, they want that. They don't want new. Listen, this is winning for them.
This for them, and that's the thing that I think Duggan's endorsement of Mary Sheffield does. It is a signal to those who are quote unquote new Detroit or thinking about Detroit or have benefited from the sort of resurgence of parts of Detroit that rock with her and the work will continue. That is the best sort of endorsement that you could give to most people in Detroit. And at the end of the day, most people in Detroit will tell you, hey, man, was stuff good? Would you rather stuff be how it was in 2012 or how it is now? And people are going to pick now.
But Mary has a lot of work to do.
She has a ton of work to do. She's got a lot of work to do.
And in fact, in some ways, because of this is going to make her first term, I think, even more challenging, if she is elected, in fact.
Yeah, I think, for me, it's going to take even this round of elections. I don't think she can hang her hat on the primary performance at all. I think she has to work harder now because at the end of the day, somebody like Kinloch is going to rally his base, and it's going to be a very loud and a very effective base. It's just a matter of, is that base big enough to be able to offset the coalition of donors and of voters that Mary has already built?
So I'm looking this up because of the last election. Duggan won 75.6 to 75, 25-25, 76-24
That's a slaughter.
over Anthony Adams.
That's a slaughter.
Do you think it'll be the same?
In political terms, that is a slaughter. Do I think it will be the same? No, because there are some people in the city of Detroit who will vote for Kinloch simply because Kinloch is a guy.
Ooh. Oh.
So there's going to be some of that. Do I think it'll be as big as 75-25, which is basically what that was? No. Do I think it could be 60-40? Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe 30. I think there's 5 to 10 points to pick up on that.
I mean, I'm being cautiously optimistic in terms of Kinloch, in terms of his ability to be able to not just turn out the religious vote, but also the vote of those who are disenchanted with the Duggan era. Because there are a lot of those folks, and I think we would be remiss not to acknowledge that, is that there are a lot of people who feel like the benefits of the Duggan administration have been uneven and that the neighborhoods have been ignored and that downtown does get preferential treatment, which it does, but that is somehow a net negative on the whole city, and they will come out and they will vote against Mary Sheffield for that. But are there enough of those people to offset what she's already built and the strength of that continuity of government that you talked about? From where I'm sitting right now, it doesn't look like it.
I'm interested to hear what people think. dailydetroit@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail, 313-789-3211. I mean, I don't want to heartbreak people, but I think part of our thing as analysts is to be, like, since politics isn't the only thing we do, we don't need to tell you what's going to, like, we don't need to overhype it.
I'm not trying to appeal to anybody's emotions. This is just kind of what I've visualized. If the opposite were true, I would say the opposite is true. But I think we cannot deny the fact that the average voter in Detroit, which is a voter that is above 50 years old, much prefers what's happening in the city now to what was happening with pre-Duggan administrations. That's a fact. It's a fact. We cannot take that away.
Well, I'm very curious to see what people think in the feedback. dailydetroit@gmail.com, as well as thank you to our members on Patreon who get this audio and support us. I'm gonna wait for a second for the live streamers because there is a firehouse down the street, some of Detroit's finest. There's a new cloud alert system that's going to be going out actually.
Yep.
Tomorrow. It's going to be very interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Digital
talk about
alerts. We'll talk about it. It's going to be very cool. Yeah, this has been a crazy day of live streaming, my friend.
It always is, and I love the live streams. I love seeing people pop in, and what I love about it is, we not always gonna agree on stuff, but that's the beauty of it. See, that's the way it's supposed to work, y'all. Is we supposed to be able to talk to one another and share ideas and get us to think. Because there was a whole thread, and Mr. Duckett, I thank you, because there was a whole thread of conversation we wouldn't have went into unless you commented. So you have contributed to the show in a meaningful way this week. Thank you.
There was a comment in there about how how both they believe that Duggan and Mary have the same billionaire overlords. I can tell you for a fact, Mary makes some people uneasy. Yeah. I've had conversations.
Yeah.
Mary makes some people uneasy.
Yeah, because she is
not Mike.
She's not Mike. She's not Mike. By virtue of who she is, she cannot be Mike. She's not a short, bald white man.
This is true. But I have had conversations with people in private, and the theme has been, can she do this? Mm-hmm. And does she have can she work with business? There's a lot of worry. There were a lot of worries, and I think it came down to that's part of why I think this Mike endorsement is such a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Because in reality, despite the social media and online narrative, there actually is tension there.
Between the two of them, between Mary and the business community, there is tension because she.
And remember, the business community didn't endorse Mary; they endorsed Fred.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as clear cut as that.
Because didn't the chamber endorse Fred?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yep.
Yeah, the chamber endorsed Fred. So the thing about it is,
Fred always had a long shot. For the chamber to do that tells you
they had to really either not like what Mary was talking about or really, really believe in him. And I'm leaning on, unfortunately, the former and not the latter. No diss to Fred Durhal.
I feel like
nice
Fred
guy.
catches strays.
No, he doesn't catch his straight. He's such a nice guy. Again, when we had our debate, he was like the first person to come up, thank us for organizing everything, and very respectful cat and super, super cool and a very nice dude. I just think he's almost too humble and too intelligent to really, really, truly desire it.
I think he desires it.
I mean, he desires it, but you know what I'm saying? I feel like also somebody like Mary was built for this. Come on, dog.
That's why one of the reasons
from the time she was 22, 23 years old, we knew her trajectory, bro.
Yeah.
We knew it.
And that's what's so interesting to me about the online conversation versus the reporting that we'll do and the conversations I'll have, where it's Mary was definitely a worry that, because remember, she's done some different things with different ordinances, stuff that's, questioned. Although she had the vote ever since her vote with District Detroit, her pattern has changed.
Yeah.
Because I think she got burned on that.
I think she did. I think she got burned on it. And I think, obviously, people love the stadium and all that. But I think she grew frustrated in the way that many other Detroiters got frustrated, which is this was a half a promise. You gave us...
And she said as much.
Yeah, you gave us
I think
half
you even
promise.
alluded to it on our conversation on our podcast.
Yeah. It was half a promise. And so I think since then she has been significantly more... I don't want to say significantly, but she's been more progressive in terms of her stances with the business community in particular. But that's also as city council president. We don't know how she'll operate as executive if she wins.
Well, I think that's part of the question with Kinloch.
Yeah.
How will he operate as an executive? And not enough people out in the wider public. Because so many times people will say, well, go to his church. No, I'm not.
Because you don't.
You got to come to me because I'm the voter.
First of all, you come to me. And second of all, I don't want you to run my city like you run a church. That would be that would actively deter me from voting for you. And there's a lot of people in the city that feel that way.
There's too many people. It's too many times where I'll hear, and other people I know have heard, friends of the show have heard, and they've publicly said this, so I'm not talking any business. They have publicly said, no, come out to our thing. I'm not going to, especially considering that there's only 2 of the many campuses in the city, and one of them, the one on the East Campus, which is by Grand Boulevard, is the active one. The other location hasn't had service in months.
Listen, as Sam said on our last show about the mayoral election or election results in general, it is a massive miscalculation to not have him at all the stuff. You got to be at all the stuff. And you running for mayor. Sometimes you're going to put your foot in your mouth. You run that risk with being in the public. And if y'all are so worried that he'll say something crazy or alienate the electorate or, say something that may be off color, then this should not be your candidate.
So Donna's talked about it publicly, so I can talk about it. Our forum that we partnered with Eastside Community Network and Outlier Media. Donna's talked about it. I'll just relay the story that Donna did the best I can. You can go back and check the Authentically Detroit tapes. But that, before we got involved with that forum, because we came in a little bit late, because we wanted to be able to offer audio and video support, more than 2,000 additional people saw it because of the audio and video support and question support, whatever. She had started to get that thing rolling. When she first got that thing rolling, the first candidate she rolled out to was Kinlock.
It was Kinlock.
And he didn't go.
Yeah.
And
cancel, what was it, a week before it was?
Something like, I don't know exactly all the, a little bit before that, because he got the UAW endorsement. And then he traded out that event for a UAW event.
That's what it was, yeah.
And that does not make, like, that tells somebody that you're not as important, you're not important to them. Yeah. Breaking a promise like that, he could have told the UAW, hey, I'm going to come to this thing, I'm going to come afterward. Yeah. Or let's adjust the time. He could have done that. Yeah. And he hurt, I'm not speaking for me in this, but in her, and you can look at the tapes, he hurt a relationship there.
Not just hurt a relationship.
Because it was originally started with him in mind to make sure he was there.
Yeah. But the thing about it was also is that I overheard at the event, people were saying, well, where's Kinlock? Where's Kinlock? You know, and during the debate, it was addressed to say, hey, we looked at the top, what was it, 8 candidates that invites got sent out to or something like that. Well, it was like everybody got an invite.
I'm mad at it because I kind of wish we could have added another, like brought somebody else in. Although we did get quite a few people in. We got Todd Perkins in and others.
Yeah, we got.
And I didn't set the candidate stuff for that. I really wanted to follow Donna's lead on that.
No, but the point of the matter is that there have been opportunities for Kinlock to appear in the streets and to talk to the electorate and to get closer to his electorate and let the electorate endear themselves to you. You don't have to necessarily do a lot of hard work in terms of having the best policy and the most flowery language and this, that, and the third. I'm just saying that he has not been where he needs to be, in my opinion, as a voter. And
he didn't come here.
He didn't come here. He didn't go to the debates.
And lots of people came here.
And it's not the only debate he hasn't showed up at. He hasn't been at many campaign events or collective campaign events for other people who threw other things. And so, you take that for, what it means. If Kinlock is your guy, I'm not trying to convince you to vote for Mary or vote for Kinlock. I'm telling you what the man has done or has not done.
That's the whole thing about being a journalist that's harder in this era.
Yeah.
People think that like relaying a true story means an endorsement. No, if that makes you think a certain way, then you need to stop and think about yourself.
Because there's a lot of stuff about Mary that she could be way better at.
Oh, right? For sure.
And there's a lot of stuff about.
So, like, one chatter Andrew made a good point about Mary did back the Henry Ford redevelopment and new center, which irritated many progressives. I think some big businesses worry that Mary might prioritize more social issues than Duggan. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also don't think
that becomes a thing that the city in the neighborhoods want to support her for.
Well, and the thing is about that Henry Ford thing, this is pushing it out. That's an example of starting to push that development out from that core downtown.
So, yeah, that's
right?
what I'm
and
saying. So
nurse jobs, things like that. If you want to make an argument about developments that benefit the neighborhoods, you got a lot more nursing jobs and other things in the Henry Ford development. Those are things that I think about.
No, and listen, again, that also is Henry Ford coming in and MSU coming in from on high and saying, let us do this. And then, it goes to city council. It's not like a thing you really
It's also a
lay out.
nonprofit development.
It's a nonprofit development. So it's a little bit different from the business community. And yeah, it did piss off progressives. However, most of the electorate are not progressives.
And you were saying that as
a person who lives here
right.
and votes here.
But a lot of you yourself are, a little. I'm more centrist than you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I know how far left I'm ready to go.
Right.
But it's just a matter of I also know where my choices are, right? Like, if I wanted different choices, I would endorse different candidates, but I'm just slightly more pragmatic, I think, than the average person. But, to me, it's not so much. You've never heard anybody on Daily Detroit sit at this microphone and say, and with that said, we are asking you to go vote for X. Like, we've never said that, and we never will. The point of the matter is, I will tell you what I saw with my own eyes and heard with my own ears and had said to me by a candidate, and just like Jared would. So if that's what my assessment is as a journalist and as a voter, more importantly, which is much more important than my assessment as a journalist, my assessment as a voter, that's what it is. And I think, unfortunately, the numbers back me up. For some people, like, the numbers back me up. The numbers back what we're saying up. Like, she came out and she clobbered the field. It was not close. It was not close. It don't got shit to do with how I feel about her.
Yeah. That's. I'm gonna leave that there. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the live stream.
I love it. I love these conversations, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a lot of people have different and very strong feelings about this. I know there's a lot of emotional connection to these people. But I'm going to say this, and this is
Take your emotions out of it. First
I'm going to echo something that my friend Eric said on social media, Eric Thomas. And I don't agree with him on everything, obviously. I don't agree with everybody on everything. But
we don't even agree on everything.
No, we don't. But don't sacrifice yourself for any of these guys.
Please don't.
Because at the end of the day, we all still got to live here. And I don't think it's wise to say, like, oh, hey, I'm going all the way in for this or all the way in for that. Because all these people are going to have to, like, Triumph Church is still going to be here.
Yep.
Right? And so I respect the work that he's done in the community. I think he could have done some different things differently on the campaign so far. I think he could rectify that.
I don't think he's a bad guy.
And I don't think he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
So, like, the thing is that I respect that work. Mary, even if she didn't win or she doesn't win, still going to be involved in stuff. Fred, going to be involved in stuff.
Absolutely.
Santil, going to be involved. Todd, involved in all these people.
They're going to be around still.
Right. And so, like, the thing is don't incinerate yourself for any of these people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I just don't think that's, like, a wise strategy going forward.
And with that said, that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yep. All right. Well, just as a note, we will, of course, keep an eye on some of the mayoral candidate stuff. But I think we need to spend some time, serious time on the council races.
Yes.
This gives us some time to spend some time on the council races. If things change at the mayoral race, or if either one of them want to come on, door is open. But we'll spend some time talking about council in the future. I know that we didn't hit the east side, my district, as much as some people wanted to.
I really want us to talk more about the east side, too, because particularly in the city council races, because there's a lot of stuff coming down from the development point of view on the east side, and I want us to be able to hit it hard and talk way more about it.
For sure. So, of course, many people asked if we would have Sam Robinson on. Of course, Sam will be back. So a bunch of other people. We love Sam. We value his voice. We also know he's really busy. So we catch him when we can. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. And of course, our normal, like, Detroit content, right? City of Detroit, regional content. That's a big thing that people come through. We've had our newsletter survey out there, which has been really helpful, figuring out where people are for the newsletter, which is very different than the podcast. It's very cool. So, by the way, Mr. Duckett says, I love the live shows.
We love you back, brother.
We love you. I know we don't know, but we love you. We do.
We really enjoy it, man.
Yeah. Keep the back and forth going. Keep it spicy.
Keep the energy.
Keep it respectfully spicy. I love it. Mike with the heart emoji. Also from the east side. I know Mike's from the east side.
The east is in the house strong today.
Finally.
The east is finally in the house strong.
I always feel overwhelmed. You know that, right? Like, because I just always do.
It's because you're constantly overwhelmed with the charm of the West Side. Constantly. I mean, technically, I live on the East Side now too.
But you're in the okay. I consider the area between the Lodge and 375, the river, and I want to say, Grand Boulevard, maybe even farther. Maybe
That's the DMZ.
the DMZ.
Yeah.
That's the downtown DMZ. I think if you're in Lafayette Park, you get to say East Side.
I think Midtown's the DMZ too.
Yeah, because so many people are in for like college or whatever.
Yeah, Midtown's the DMZ too.
I don't know what other people think, but that's what I think. It's
But
like you're
the
in
other
the
side
DMZ.
of 75.
Yeah,
that's
other
the East
side. So other side of the Lodge. So I think Corktown's West Side.
Corktown is the West Side.
Because some people might say, I've heard some people argue that it should be 96.
No, because then you would say Core City and all the rest of that.
Yeah, I think that's
No,
completely
that's
West
the West
Side.
Side. That's the West Side. Just like Lafayette Park is the East Side. And the villages are the East Side.
The other feedback I got, which I thought was pretty funny, they're like, you never talk about 8 Mile. I'm like, because that divide isn't as important to me.
Because who cares?
Well, and that whole debate is so wild where people will be like, well, 696 is the new 8 Mile. Go to hell. I mean, like,
It's not.
no, it's not. It's not.
It's not, y'all. Like,
And I want to keep the debates fun spirited and so people can learn things about each other. The other thing I hear.
Are you really telling me that Ferndale and Pleasant Ridge are Detroit? Absolutely not.
I mean, look, I love Ferndale.
I
But
love both
I
those
like to call
places.
Ferndale Detroit Light.
It is. Actually, Southfield's Detroit Light.
That's true.
But
That's true. That's true.
Ferndale's part of that.
Other people will say John R is actually the technical definition.
That's only 'cause Woodward's crooked.
the street numbers change
At John R.
at John R.
Yeah.
Past Highland Park.
But that's only because Woodward's crooked. Woodward runs north by northwest.
See, I still take Woodward as the dividing line because
is.
once you get on John R farther out, you got a whole chunk of land.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. This is complete like partisanship on my part.
Yeah.
The east side, we have limited space.
Yeah.
Y'all on the west side could go to Ann Arbor if you want to.
We could. Also, the thing is, the east side is actually bigger. The east side's bigger.
Is it?
I think so.
I mean, but where do you define the end of the west side?
I don't count the southwest. I think the southwest actually we need to start referencing the southwest as its own thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, downriver, like so southwest, but also into the
Like
whole,
southwest Mexican down by like Zug Island. And
But
all
even
that.
but does that then also pour into like our friends and listeners in Wyandotte?
No, that's another town.
Yeah, but it's a
It's
regional.
another town. I'm talking about Detroit proper.
Oh, Detroit proper?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people are arguing me about John R. out in the suburbs.
No. By the way, what do y'all separate by east and west side out there anyway?
Well, Woodward, for
no,
sure.
but I'm saying, like, do people go eastern and western Oakland County and they use John R as the separator?
Times have changed since L. Brooks Patterson basically turned 8 Mile into a defensive moat, says Andrew. Orlando Bailey on our live stream said it perfectly. Economic apartheid.
That's what it was.
He put it perfectly.
Yeah,
And
that is the perfect descriptor. Yeah.
Mr. Duckett says exit 9. Exit 9 of what?
Oh, the Southfield Joy Road.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Joy
okay.
Road. Yeah, I mean, listen. Here's what I'll say about this, because you said many cities. Andrew also says many cities along 8 Mile are looking into making their borders more smooth with Detroit, like 75 and the Greenfield intersection. Still not Detroit, dog. Like,
No, I hear you, but
But I
also
hear you.
I appreciate that. Also, like you have things like the connectivity and money possible with like making so Livernois is more smoother
it's
across
more
8 Mile.
smooth, yeah.
So I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate the pride side, but also I think it's so important to have these connections so that like it works both ways. Because to
Yeah.
me, and this may be an unpopular opinion to some folks, I think that cities are supposed to be hubs.
Yeah.
Cities are nothing. Like if Detroit isn't the hub, then it just kind of dissolves into space. I think it's important that the region orients around Detroit. I think it's important that people from all over the region work in Detroit.
I agree.
I think
I
it's
want more
important
of
that all
that,
these
too.
things are connected because throughout the history of human civilization, cities are about being that connection point.
And then you go out from there.
And just as I don't want Al Brooks to have a moat, I don't want the city to have a moat.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like that you push yourself into irrelevance.
Yeah, when I say that, I'm not trying to be like a separatist. I'm not a Detroit separatist.
I've seen that though.
Yeah, I'm not.
Remember Barbara, rest her soul, Barbara Rose Collins. She talked about that.
I'm not a Detroit separatist.
She was actually quite. If people ever get to talk to her, I know online, whatever. In person, what a charm.
Yeah. There was a point in time where people felt like that was the only viable way for Detroit to like proceed as like a cultural entity. But I don't feel that way.
Andrew says Joy Road.
Yeah, Joy Road.
Not Joe. Joe is with J-O-A. I know he
It's Joy.
missed. I know he missed time, but all of a sudden I'm like John R. and Joy at once.
Joy Road. But yeah, like I don't say that to be a Detroit separatist. I say that to not. Let me put it this way, and I'm gonna leave it with this, and maybe this will be controversial, but I'm gonna just say this. All right, for my whole life, in the vast majority of Detroit's existence, everybody everywhere locally has wanted nothing to do with Detroit. I want y'all to at least come back and say, hey, man, our bad. Y'all cool down here. Let's work together. Don't just all of a sudden come down and co-op, and now all of a sudden you want to smooth out 8 Mile. No, dog. Say, hey, man, we want to come down here because we want to help out. Not just because we want to be a part of the cool thing. We want to help out. That's what I want.
Go to work. Put me to work. Put me to
I want
work.
to come down here and go to work. I want to come down here and spend my money. I want to come down here and volunteer at the urban garden. I want to, like that's what I want. Don't just try to come in here and get all the cool shit and extract all the culture. Nah, man. Add to the culture. You feel me?
I feel like that's where we leave it.
Yeah.
It's been a long day. Oh my gosh, 2.5 hours? A little under 2.5 hours.
It's nothing. It's light work for Daily Detroit.
Poor producer Adam.
I'm sorry, Adam.
We need to get him like one of those. So he sits over in the corner. We need to get him like one of those hamster water things.
Yeah, so he can just
hang it from above.
I wish they made those for people.
They do.
What?
They do. I've looked into it.
I can
I've thought
attach
about
it to my wall for my workstation at
I
home.
feel like that's exactly what I need. Just like the next live stream, there's just hamster waters hanging down. We're just like, well, it's just the middle of the thing.
I'm gonna fill it with wine.
That, Shay Whitfield was on. She talked about bargain block or on the block after dark.
Yeah.
That's how we get there.
That's how we get there.
That's how we get there, full of wine.
Just the hamster bottle full of wine.
Well, thank you everyone for watching this thing. It's amazing that people pay attention to this. You guys are all so awesome. I appreciate all of the Detroit community that's around this. Do not forget that we have a newsletter that you can get on dailydetroit.com. We have a podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download shows. By the way, make sure to hit the follow button on that.
Please.
Because some people have been telling me, like, oh, they don't get new episodes, and they realize they didn't. It's hidden. I don't like it. It's up in the upper right-hand corner for Apple Podcasts. Make sure you follow the show so that you get it, because we do this. We do a live stream once a week, but we do the show 5 times a week. So, yeah, there's some really great conversations in there. We got tons of stuff happening. So thank you so much for it. Daily Detroit branded, says Mike. Yes, maybe Daily Detroit branded hamster water bottles.
Full of wine.
Full of wine.
Yeah.
We got the stuff for it. We just need the bottles.
We just need the bottles. We got plenty of wine.
And we got plenty of labels. That'd be
Yeah.
amazing. All right. Well, with that, I'm Jair Stays.
And I'm Norris Howard.
Thank you so much for watching and listening. We appreciate you. Remember that you are somebody, and we will talk soon.